What's up, good people? We are back in the building, doing somewhat of a road game. Shout out to LB Crypto, shout out to Logan JJ. Y'all see the title, you see the thumbnail, you already see what's going down here. See what's going down here. We're going to be breaking down a number of things, taking a number of different angles on this, analyzing the black community. Going to be digging into something. And me and Hood have actually talked about this before, about the whole concept of black people not being mass shooters. And it's defined as a shooting with I think 3 or 4 or more people shot at one time, and people only look at it people only look at it as if, and I'm in this camp, if they got an ideology and a manifesto, that's when it counts. That's when it counts. However, where's that? However, when J-Rock could go ride on somebody and he shooting like Soulja Boy was in that video when he's like when he was demonstrating how he shot and he was doing and he hit everybody but the target. Those are mass shootings, and you can extrapolate some aspects of that with serial killers in the hood. So we may dig into some of that, and we're going to ask the question that you see in the title: what the hell is Black Lives Matter on all of this stuff? We're going to be digging deep into that. So strap on in. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
What's up? What's going on, good people? Welcome back. Shout out to everybody in the building. Shout out to LB Crypto. Excuse me. Says, let's get it. Need something good to listen to while laid up. And oh man, what you doing in the hospital bed, homie? What you doing in the hospital bed? Let me know. Salute to Bernard. Journey to 100K. Yeah, it's coming. I'm gonna get there, man. I got big plans, and normally you having big plans and don't follow through with it, but no, it's going down. It's going down. All the stuff that I've been getting set up for, yeah. It's gonna be a live popping show in studio guest. It's going down at the end of this month. The ball already rolling. Logan JJ in the building says likes are free 99. See the God in the building, says BR salute. Just being Jazzy's podcast clips and crafty ideas in the building. Shout out to you. Chris G in the building. Shout out to you. Ragnarok in the building. What's up, salute, and shout out to you. As far as I know, you are white, so I'm not taking your opinion on this topic. No, I'm just playing. Okay, the media likes to stereotype it as only whites do such things. Quite frankly, extremists of all kinds are gangsters of all kinds worldwide have done such. Sure. No, absolutely, absolutely. I'm being racist. All right. Freshest in class says, top of the morning, gentlemen. Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. Who else we got in here before I pass it to Hood Servative when we get this thing going? Deadly Raver in the building. The Perfect Storm in the building says, don't be talking down on my beloved Baltimore. You know what? I live in a small city that, a lot of people accuse me of living in Detroit because they know I live in Michigan, and I do we do the little gathering meetup thingy, monthly in Detroit, so that everybody think I live in Detroit. But no, the little small city that I live in, statistically, if it was as big as Detroit, it would they actually said it, like, basically, if it was as big as Detroit, it would be putting up Detroit numbers. The only reason we don't be making the top 5 list when it come to all that bad stuff is because it's small. So I'm in no position to be just taking the crap on any city, because my city is my city is in an unremarkable category on black demographics when it came to black men in in earnings. My city is on blackdemographics.com where those cities where they say the discrepancy of black women with full-time jobs versus black men with full-time jobs. Uh, that's not true, or nowhere near as true as they try to make it out to be, but in certain areas it is, and my city is one of those areas. So yeah, I can't just crap on any city like
Hey,
I'm out in Pleasantville or some shit. But anyway, I'm gonna pass the mic to
hey,
Hood
Bernard,
Conservative. He was
Bernard.
trying
It
to
sounds
jump in
like
here. Go ahead.
I just want to throw something in that real quick. It sounded like you stumbled onto a cheat code. Be the dude in a small town that's making good money. You can't lose.
Hey, man, you get a 50K a year job out here. You kill it. Me and my brother actually talked about that because he was hearing us talking about these chicks. He be listening in, and he heard us talking about these chicks that be online talking about dude got to make 6 figures and this or that, and he'd be like, man, and he'd be hearing the dudes responding to it, and he'd be like, have y'all actually really dealt with some of these chicks? Because these like around here, past a certain age, the young ones still be on that same shit. The young ones still be on some bull. But past a certain age out here, no, if you just got a job and can pay your own way, they they all right with you. That little job at the plant gets it done out here. You don't gotta you don't gotta be pulling 6 figures around here. That's for real. That's real stuff. Get your little assembly line job at the plant. They all right with you. Past a certain age. The little young ones now,
Well,
they still be on that
that's
stuff.
that's my move. I'm trying to live my 40s and beyond in small town America. That's the move, bro. Make good money and live in a small town.
I actually think that's the way to go. Live in a small town, but when you want to do big city stuff, be close enough to where you could drive out. If you could live like 40 minutes away from the big city, I think that's better. Because I hate big cities. I don't even want to get too deep into that. Uh, I've never paid to park in my hometown. Never. Now we go to Detroit, and I'm like, dude, you can't just pull up somewhere and just pull up in between 2 yellow lines and just get out the car. You got to circle around. You got to find where you're going and then circle around for 20 minutes to find a park and then pay $20 for it. It's like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, getting into the topic. Yeah, Ragnarok, small towns, less problems. I'm all about small towns. All about small towns. But anyway, getting into this topic, and whenever a topic is going to be controversial, well, I mean, I blame Hood Conservative for all the for all the nonsense to get talked about. So I got to blame him going in for this one too. And the reason I blame him, because it's mostly his fault, because he come up with most of the topics when we do the Saturday show. So we talking about the mass shootings that's been going on, the recent one in Baltimore. It's like when you Google it, It's like a bunch of them lined up, kind of. It was, but specifically the one in Baltimore, I think the one you sent me the clips for. So go ahead. I'm passing the floor to you. You got the floor. You got the mic. Make sure y'all hit the like button, support the stream, all that good stuff. Y'all know what it is. But you got the floor. You got the mic. Go ahead and set this thing up.
All right. Thanks for coming out again, everybody. Glad to have you guys come out to these Saturday shows. I love doing this. The Baltimore thing is a little bit, somewhat of a personal subject for me because I've been covering Baltimore's failing school district for a couple of months now. SKC actually turned me on to the story. There was a guy there. The Fox News channel in Baltimore is like Channel 45. So there was a guy from. Yeah.
I think you're going in and out.
Well, there was a guy from Fox 45 who was Oh, my signal's probably bad. All right, give me a second here. Let me reset something.
Yeah. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Logan JJ, I'll chop it up with the chat for a minute. Logan JJ says cheat codes to manhood. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. You want to live somewhere where the cost of living is low. And they say the pace is slow or whatever the hell. I don't even know what that means. You want to live somewhere like that. The rent or the property value, if you're buying a home, all of that be cheaper. Only thing is the jobs don't pay as much in those areas. However, if you get a job, let's say you get an IT gig, or you get a truck driving gig or something like that. That really don't matter. But most of the place, like the factory jobs and stuff, they pay in the big city. They pay a lot more. So some people be driving out. They'll drive out to small town. They'll live in a small town where everything is cheaper, and then just make the commute to the big city and get the big money. So it's a lot of different ways to do it. Noon Kiga, what the hell? Noon Kiga. Okay. Anyway, that just threw me off. Noon Kiga, that threw me off. Shout out to Osama Abdu in the building. Says Be Iron Hood server the dynamic duo for 2023 and beyond. Shout out to you. Do appreciate you coming through with the $2 super chat. I don't know if Hood server is back, but he mentioned SKC covering this, and I'm coming to the conclusion that SKC Supreme King Coon. I'm coming to the conclusion that he really loves black people. I mean, he covers he covers he got the blackest channel on Black YouTube. I'm just coming to the conclusion that he really loves black people. Venus Baptiste says, "Are you a divested black male?" No. It's a very happy black woman right down the hall in the bed. I don't know why you felt so compelled to ask that. You're back, Hood Conservative, but your icon look like it's gone. I don't see an icon at all. I don't know how big of a deal that is, but just to teaser trailer the topic before we
sorry, my
what you say? Yeah, he having issues. Hopefully we get this together. But just the teaser trailer, one of the things that we're going to talk about is the difference when we're talking about mass shootings, because black people always get, they always say black people not serial killers and normally a white thing. Black people are never mass shooters. Most of all the mass shooters are white. There is something to be said about the situations where in Baltimore, a situation like that where you got 5 people shot, 1 person killed. We don't look at that as a mass shooter. And I've argued before that it's not a mass shooter. Because he's just a dude. He's just a dude with a bad aim. But from just purely looking at it from a black community standpoint and an outcome standpoint and end result standpoint, we might as well just look at it like that. From a overall threat level, what's the difference? What's the difference from a dude with an ideology and a manifesto shooting 5 people and a dude who just pulling up with bad aim, just shooting with the gun cocked to the side? What's the difference? So we're going to be getting into a lot of different things. Let me get this down. Let me get this down. Why are you so obsessed? Why are you so obsessed with what my woman look like? Why? Why are you so obsessed with what my woman look like? There you go. There you go. There you go. All right, let's see if we got it. Let's see if we got it. Yeah, the Mac the Trucker.
Okay, are we back now?
Yeah, I think we are back.
Okay, what was I saying? SKC, he introduced me to the subject because Fox 45 in Baltimore, they had this one guy doing a series of like expose on how horrible the Baltimore school district was. Kids were like, they had like no-show students. Basically, there were students on paper that never showed up to school, and the schools were doing nothing about this. So like, there were a couple of stories where like a mom who, she says she works 3 jobs to pay the bills and to raise her boy right, and she had no idea her son had been to school since like the 10th grade. Like he just stopped going to school for like years. And we've been covering that kind of stuff coming out of Baltimore for a while now, SKC and I both. And then a couple of days ago, I didn't really know what was going on. I saw Kimberly Klasick putting out a tweet, and it was like a quote from the mayor. And here, let me just put the link in the back chat so you can just get it really quickly. This is a really, really short clip, but there was a mass shooting in Baltimore, and the mayor of Baltimore is really young guy. He's a dude like from the hood or whatever. He's I forget his full name, but basically he is not the guy for the job. He's just a little too he's like a young hood dude.
that ain't sound right. You just gonna say he just not the guy for the job.
Just not the guy. Because I'm not opposed to a young black guy doing it, right? But like, dude, you too in love with the swaggy culture. Like it's something weird about this dude. Like it's like he's fresh out of high school too, by the way. It's like, can I get an older black guy who's like had some life experience under his belt? Like, don't give me this dude who probably flunked out of high school, but now y'all got him some kind of ready to work job program, and this nigga wound up being the mayor somehow. Like, this is weird, man. I don't like him as like the mayor. But I'm gonna drop the link in the back chat to that first video clip of the mayor of Baltimore. I've not sent you all of them, but you can pull this one up quickly. And apparently there was a mass shooting at Edmondson High School, which I could have went to that school. I was like technically in walking distance from that school, but I got lucky because way before that, I used to live with my dad, and I managed. But I was on an honor roll when I lived with my dad, and I was like in the 6th grade. And as it turned out, that year or so of being on the honor roll helped me get into a good high school a couple of years later. So I didn't have to go to that same like district school. And so I could have went to Edmondson Village High School, but I wound up going to like Baltimore City College, which is a high school. It's just named college. But thanks, Dad. I didn't have to go to that shit. And apparently there was a mass shooting at Edmondson High School, right in Edmondson Village. I used to live not far from that whole place. And so Baltimore is kind of like a special story because, I know the city a little bit. And I'm watching what's been playing out over the last couple of years with just like black politics in general. And Baltimore is one of these cities that have a lot of like female leaders. And it's just a wave right now. A lot of cities are like this. The city council, the governor, I'm not the governor, the city council, the mayor or whatever. There's a lot of female energy here. So one of the other clips I sent you was like a spat between I'm not sure who was who. I'm assuming the woman was on the council, but there was a guy kind of like, giving her a piece of his mind. And it was an older black man yelling at an older black woman about how she's running the city. And all these things I want to bring up so we can chop it up and talk about mass shootings and do black kids get the same count as a mass shooter that white kids do? And I tend to go away from the ideology argument, because not all mass shooters leave behind an ideology. Not all mass shooters leave behind a manifesto, as you called it. Like the Uvalde kid, I don't think had a manifesto. The guy, the Vegas shooter that, we totally forgot about, the guy who was shooting up a concert from a hotel room in Las Vegas. They never released a manifesto. Who else is out there doing mass shootings? I mean, the majority of mass shooters don't leave a manifesto. Like that one kid in Buffalo, he apparently he might have been a legit racist. He probably legitimately hated black people. He left the manifesto, but that's not the majority. And so I don't know if the manifesto or the ideological motive really changes the argument.
That's what I was getting at, the ideology behind it. That's how I've always looked at a mass shooter. If they're doing it for some ideological reason, and the targets are typically somebody he don't even know, or somebody who, from an ideological standpoint or from based off his views, fit a certain mold. Like if somebody is doing if somebody crazy and doing a mass shooting because they think Mexicans are taking their jobs and they just shoot random Mexicans they don't know, then that's how I normally view a mass shooter. So it is a different dynamic. We'll get into that. We'll get into that later in the show, but I'm just gonna play it and then you could further explain one, who this dude is and what the hell he got to do. I mean, what's your issue?
It's only 10-second clip, but
yeah.
We know in Baltimore and across this country right now, after the pandemic, people are dying over dumb shit. And that's the reality. And we have to understand how we're going to hold those people accountable. We know.
Hold on. Why you don't like him? I like a politician. Is he a mayor? What is he?
He's the Baltimore City mayor.
Okay, yeah, I like a mayor who I mean, people are dying over dumb shit. I can dig it, man. Why you ain't feeling him, man? Why what's the issue with him?
Well, if he was like a hard right kind of law and order sort of guy, like I'm going to punish the criminals, I'm going to promote the police to help defend the city, it would be a lot easier to accept that from him. But people have been dying over. And first of all, you're going to blame the pandemic, bro. You didn't catch that? You really didn't catch that? You're going to blame the pandemic for niggas getting shot?
It's 11 seconds. I'll run it right back.
No. In Baltimore and across this country right now, after the pandemic, people are dying over dumb shit. And that's the reality. And we have to understand how we're going to hold those people accountable. We know.
Okay. All right. I missed that. It went over my head. I was playing with the volume, trying to get the volume up. And I didn't even realize that he blamed the pandemic, as if people wasn't dying before the pandemic. It's an interesting concept. I never thought about it. When everybody had to go inside, most niggas ain't stay inside, but when everybody had to go inside, did murder rates drop down just a little bit during that period around April 2020?
I would imagine for a month or so, when the pandemic was new, when people were legitimately afraid to go outside. But once the George Floyd protest kicked off, you didn't realize how smoothly we dovetailed into the George Floyd protest. One day, it was illegal to leave your house unless you had to go to work or a hospital or something. And the next day, it was perfectly fine as long as you were protesting for George Floyd. After that, murders went up. That's when murders started going up.
So George Floyd helped create more murders. Wow. Okay.
I
completely forgot about that. I remember saying that on the air. George Floyd ended the pandemic.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that, because it's like everybody was quarantined and masked up, and then all of a sudden, when that George Floyd stuff happened, when everybody took the streets protesting and burning shit up, and then it was like, man, the hell with the pandemic. That's when basically everybody just went back to society and just went back to normal and just went back to being around each other. That is true. That event, George Floyd being killed, that did make everybody say fuck this pandemic shit. It really did.
Well, it wasn't that it wasn't him being killed, because remember, dope fiends die every day too. It wasn't that he got killed. It was that you were allowed to protest. Like they used that as some kind of weird psychological trigger. It's like you can't do any of these things you would normally love to do. You can't even go to church, but you can go to George Floyd protests or you can go to strip clubs. And so a lot of people went to the protest.
Man, strippers had masks on stage stripping at that time. Did they? I mean, well, I don't suspect you went to a strip club during the
No.
Yeah.
I would like to know that now that you asked that question. I would have went on an excursion to do some people watching just to find out if the strippers were stripping with the COVID mask on. I would have took a picture.
I would go as far as say that strippers and sex workers are they're essential workers. They're essential. I'll give them that. They're essential. But
God, don't do that. Don't do that. See, because you know what you just did, Steve Bernard. This niggas like that be fucking up the whole game. You can't do that, bro. No, let me tell you why you can't do that. Because loosely translated, what you just said is hoes are essential. And nowhere in my mind are hoes ever essential. A woman may be essential, a wife may be essential. Hoes, bro, hoes, never essential. Hoes are never needed in an emergency. If you have a crisis that can be solved by a hoe, you are not in trouble.
Yeah, if your dick real dry, I can get solved by a hoe. So I mean, but anyway,
right, that's not a crisis, my nigga. You just struggling.
It is a crisis. It is a crisis.
We've all struggled. So wait. Here's all right. Now that we going down this road, we've joked about this before. Women, if you care about the incel mass shooter problem, you know what you have to do.
Yeah. Do you
right? But you're not willing to do that. You're not willing to do that because you'd rather die than to solve the problem. All right, I'm done. I'm not gonna say anymore.
All right. But this is I don't even know his name, but this is your boy. Well, not your boy. You said you don't like him. Baltimore City's mayor response to a 7-year-old. This was reported 6-year-old. He say 7-year-old right here, but 7-year-old being shot and killed. And yeah, you're not feeling him because basically, are you basically saying it's the same old song and dance when somebody who's obviously more left leaning and they're not going to tighten up and do the things that black folks will call over policing, even if it does tighten up and reduce the crime, it's going to cause more people to be questioned and frisked, and then or now they find in more little nickel bags, little crimes I don't care about, but people getting caught with their nickel bags more often. So it's like more people getting locked up for petty crimes, but a lot of the big crimes are being stopped too. So that's the conundrum when you start dealing with when people of his ilk start complaining about, oh, we need to do this or we need to hold something accountable. Now y'all ain't gonna do nothing. But the people who actually do something, y'all don't like them. They're racist. That's the problem that you're always going to run into in a lot of those towns, cities, where you know how it is when black folks, a lot of black women, but black folks are in all those high up positions, and you know where they are politically, and so you already know the scoreboard. So I think that's probably more so what your issue is with him and his dealing with all of this.
Right. You know Rudy Giuliani, right? Man,
I was about to drop his name, but then I was like, nah, I'm
Nah, let's jump in it. Let's jump in it because I do not hate the what it was called. I think was like the broken window philosophy. This is how Giuliani came into New York City with his idea to clean up the town. Basically, the philosophy goes like this: in a neighborhood where there's one broken window, you'll have another broken window soon after, because it's obvious people don't care about the neighborhood, right? And so the thinking is, if you police the smaller crimes, you stop the bigger crimes from even developing. And so stop and frisk was essentially, I mean, it is low level harassment. I'll go out that far and call it, legalized low level harassment of certain individual demographics, because the thinking is that low level harassment would actually, I'll catch the gun before he actually shoots somebody with it. That is kind of the
Yeah,
idea
that's
behind stop and frisk.
that's the issue, is that if you're like, I'm going to catch the gun before he shoots somebody with it, but this person is probably a person who had no intentions on shooting nobody with a gun. He just want to
Well, in New York City,
he
no
just
one
want to ride
no
he
one
just
has
want to
the
ride
gun.
around. He want to ride around with his nickel bags and his busted tail light. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, but
why
see now look on the other side. Now you have to be a better criminal. You can't ride around with your busted tail light, knowing that you might get pulled over. So that's you. You are now it's incumbent upon you as a criminal to be better at your craft. So clean your shit up. And I'm not really trying to do too much, making life easier for dudes who are intent on doing it the wrong way. Like, I know I've been there. I know what it's like. So you got to play the game better, bro. But the deal is, as a mayor of the city, crime went down drastically. The
Yeah,
city was way
yeah,
safer under Giuliani than it is right now. And,
yeah.
and that's why I put that title suggestion in the email I sent you, because I
Oh
want to
shit,
ask the question
I
to
gotta
black
read
people.
emails right, because I didn't even realize he put a title suggestion.
But the question for black people is, do you feel safe? As an average black person existing, traveling, navigating through Black America, do you feel safe? And I personally don't. So I'm wondering what the responses would be, because, like, and I wanted to bring this other story up too. Somebody mentioned this in the chat. In Virginia, little 6-year-old kid just shot a teacher. I don't know that the kid's black, but I'm getting all kind of black radar pings, and so I'm waiting for confirmation. But it seems like the kid might be black. I don't know. It's possible. If it was a white kid, it wouldn't totally shock me, but it would be, pleasantly surprised. Like, oh, okay, one of you guys this time. But so far there's a shooting at a school in Virginia, and I'm wondering, like, is Black America gonna hit like 1990s levels of I'm sick of this shit, lock all these niggas up? I wonder how far away we are from something like that, because it seems like we're headed that way. I mean, kids are shooting
Are you
teachers,
are
kids are
you
shooting each
are
other.
you are you advocating for another wave of like a Biden crime bill?
I don't advocate, but I prognosticate. I predict it will come. It's an inevitable conclusion, because
It's
it's like either the criminals and the chaotic culture wins totally, and everything just burns, or people push back and they try to take a hold of this situation, and that's what generally happens. America, we have a long history of hanging people when shit gets out of hand, so sooner or later they will bring the rope out.
metaphorically.
No, no, literally. I don't metaphorically joke. That's a literal joke. That somebody's gonna get hung sooner or later. One of you niggas is gonna get hung like it was 1900s.
Oh shit. All right. I'm trying to pull up. Well, I'm trying to shout out Robert J. Carmichael for dropping a cash app on me. Shout out to Robert J. Carmichael, trying to make a banner here. Shout out to you. Hold on. I think I got it right there. Click, click, clack. All right. Shout out to Robert J. Carmichael. Thanks for the $20 cash app. Do appreciate that. Shout out to my man Sir Tyson in the building. Says Bernie just threw hoes and tricks and trick sympathizers a bone. Yeah, man. I was joking around. I was just playing, but yeah. It's just a funny concept when everything was allegedly shut down, which they didn't really shut it down. But when everything was shut down and they were like, "Oh, well, these people are essential workers," and so like obviously nurses had to get back to work. Doctors had to go to work. There was a few
Strippers
people
too.
that had jobs where they had to get back to work. And then when Hood Conservative mentioned that strip clubs was open during that time, I was like, okay. So apparently the strippers, whole sex workers, the whole sex work industry was apparently deemed essential. So it's a it's a fun concept to play with. It's a fun concept to play with. But shout out to Sir Tice in the building. Do appreciate you. Shout out to Prime Time 89 says French Montana music video got shot up too. Yeah, I mean, I don't keep up with what's going on with these dudes, these rappers and all that much or whatever.
Yeah,
These
I got
artists.
footage from that, but you can't play it because his security guy and somebody else are bleeding out on the concrete. So yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. No, I was about to do something with that, or at least make like a little short or something about it. But I didn't even get to it. But all right, let me unless you got something else you want to say. Now, one video that you sent me is of a chick with some. I mean, I don't know what her position is. She looks important.
She's another a small town mayor. We should play that small town mayor, black woman. We are implementing a curfew. I think the time has passed already because I had that clip saved like a week or two ago. But basically, she's implementing a curfew because you niggas won't act right.
I always find it interesting when black people are in, like, this is something I talk about a lot. We underestimate just how much black people are in positions. Black people be in positions. I mean, she got black men and white men behind her. Like, so I'm assuming those are her subordinates or security or whatever the hell. But but like, black people be legit in position, and they be making decisions that sometimes, if a white person made it, that would get called racist. But if a black person doesn't make those decisions, do shit go a little more haywire? And does that speak to the things how, you see the Larry Elders of the world and Candace Owens of the world and Jason Whitlocks of the world always pointing out in all of these black enclaves where you got a black police chief, black mayor, black governor, black, blackity black, we black y'all at every level. They got lightweight Wakanda out there. Shit be hitting the fan. It be some of the worst ran cities. Yeah, don't even get me started on the corruption. Then it be crime. Then be all kind of stuff going on. But is it partially because they pussyfoot around harshly dealing with the shit that need to get dealt with because they thinking about, hey, these are our people, these black people. We ain't about to be, just unleashing the full force of, police power on them. And so more crime and bullshit gets slipped through the crack. If you understand what I'm saying, I think you understand what I'm saying. But I just wonder, is that the reason why? Because they don't want to be that hard on their people?
I'm sorry. I know you were talking, but all I could hear, I'm looking at this image and I keep hearing Malcolm X say the black woman is the most unprotected woman in the country. I know you said a lot of words, but all I heard was Malcolm X talking. I'm sorry. I wasn't focused. No, I'm joking. Bro, the thing with black leadership, right, exactly. The fuck? I gotta stop cursing too. YouTube is trying to crack down on profanity. I'm gonna try to stop cursing so much, but black leadership has been ideologically like subverted in a very dangerous way because, and this is why, guys like Dirty Folks, and I flirted around with the idea myself, when I said black politics is basically, get your baby mama, help your baby mama get your cousin out of jail and fight racism, right? Mm-hmm. Dirty Folks with his black is for women, gays, and felons, he kind of made that idea a little bit more concise, right? But the idea still holds. And this is why guys are like, certain people take issue with the concept of black. Like I can't change my skin color. I am who I am, and I'll stay this way happily. But the thing is, ideologically, black has been associated with too much inherent negativity, where white has been associated with something that might be a little bit more rigid and stiff, but inherently positive and effective and efficient even. And that's what happens with black leadership. Black leadership becomes obsessed with doing things the black way as opposed to doing things the right way. And oftentimes you find doing things the right way would be like doing things the white way as well. This is literally why you had the Black National History Museum put out that chart about the culture of whiteness, and all the things that white people were accused of were like all the things that will make your life better and make your city run well. It's like black leadership, they know what needs to be done. They refuse to do it because it would make you look like the white man. And shout out to this woman for standing with her cadre of white guys and that one black dude, as she now takes the role of the white man and makes you niggas go home at night. Shout out to the white man and his black woman in the front taking leadership position.
Mm-hmm. Osworld123, shout out to you. Shout out to you. Appreciate you coming on through with the $20 super chat. Greatly appreciate that. Appreciate everybody who support the stream. Shout out to all of y'all. Y'all are the real MVPs around here. And real quick before I play this clip, SKC, who always keeps it interesting. I shouted you out earlier. I forgot why Hood Server just mentioned you. Something you was doing. I just basically just pointed out that SKC loves black people. You got the blackest channel on Black YouTube. You love your people. But SKC says this reaches into my back and forth with BR about the culture and why trying to build a black enclave of good black people doesn't make sense. I guess my issue with that, and keep in mind, a black enclave, I don't think it necessarily works like that in this modern time. Even though, like Sage Talk Lee was talking about building like a black town, a black male-centered town or city or whatever, he was talking about doing that. And the way it naturally ends up working is that like people tend to self-segregate. Like I've seen it happen. I've seen a nice neighborhood not too far away from me, go from majority white to majority black because when house got for sale, a black person of middle or upper middle class just happened to buy it. And I'm not saying I live in some upper middle class area. I live on like the dividing line between the city and the township. The township is where the nice houses are. The city is where, not necessarily, I'm not in the hood, but I'm like, I'm like in between the hood and the good part. So like I could drive 5 minutes and be in the hood. I could drive 5 minutes and be in Pleasantville. It's like I'm right on that dividing line. And I've seen one of the more Pleasantville type areas, like I call it, just gradually turn more black. I mean, it's just the point that I was trying to make is that it happens organically. It happens organically when people start doing better, when black people start doing better. Yes, some of them sprinkle off into, white neighborhoods and just be in there, but some of them do end up, there's a lot of middle and upper middle class black neighborhoods and areas where black people are, and they got something that resembles community. It's just not as many of them because they so spread out all over the place. And when the people get to that certain point, and they just most of them just end up just falling into white neighborhoods and living their life. And there's technically nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that. But it is something to be pointed out to where just like there's a class difference between white people, where we obviously understand the difference between middle class, working class, trailer park trash, and upper class. There is a such thing and should be a such thing. And I do, and some demarcation of black classism. It should be visible. We should see it. And yeah, so when it's like that, then it will get to it. I think that this is why I think this is my sneaky suspicion why you push back on this. You don't want it to get like that because you want to be able to only say the black community is only the hood and the dysfunction in it. But if there were areas where black people were functional and not just sprinkled out all over white neighborhoods, but the black people had their shit together, if they organically ended up in the same area, in the same neighborhood, and you got, successful people, business owners, and things that make sense and function, then that would it's like you talk like you don't want that shining example of black people functioning. It's like you don't want that to some degree because you'll push back on the possibility of it, even if they're talking about separating from the nonsense. If they're talking about separating from the nonsense, you shouldn't have a problem with that because that's essentially what you have done. So that was why I didn't quite understand. That's why I didn't quite understand your position on that. We'll probably talk about that later, though.
Well, I know you aimed at a SKC, but I want to just take a crack at it if I could.
Yeah, go ahead.
One of the issues I think that will arise is something actually played on my channel a couple weeks ago. There was a conversation that got recorded back in like the 40s where it was like a lot of the black people in Los Angeles who had been living there for a while, who were already like acclimated to that life or whatever, they were complaining about these new niggas moving up from, Texas and Georgia, all these black Southerners moving out to LA. Like that was a whole time in American culture, right? Where black people, the Great Migration, they didn't just go to Chicago and New York, they went to LA too. And so a lot of black people were moving in, and the black people who were already there, who were relatively middle class, relatively well off, had places, people like that family that bought the Manhattan Beach. Well, they just got their Manhattan Beach property back into the family after like a long battle. Like we're talking about that generation of black people that had money when, allegedly we were all fucked up. I mean, we were all struggling, right? So there was a conversation that those black people did not want the new black people to come around. And eventually they lost the battle. But the idea that has to happen is for that little black enclave to actually exist in perpetuity, like say the Jack and Jill kind of club, right? That sort of upper middle class black group. The problem is you have to draw a hard line. You have to have borders and walls
Yeah.
around your territory. And the black middle class, the black elites, in a lot of ways, they do not draw that distinction. And for a very, very shameful political gain, even, they will promote the culture of the ghetto
Yep.
while living the culture
Yep.
of the white man. And that is the
Woo!
problem. That is the problem in a nutshell with the black upper classes. Like you got to pick a side, and you've obviously picked a side, but you want to talk black to me though. That's the bullshit. That is the
Yeah.
bullshit. And I would prefer you to show me how you truly are and all of your success, and maybe that will be the model that wins the day. But you come out of your great neighborhood and your nice car with your degree and your connections, and you get into the ghetto and you go around like, oh, this is fine. This is absolutely okay. This is great. Let's more of this. Let's have more of this. And then you go back to your nice house and your husband and your family. That's bullshit.
Yeah, and moreover, the white people don't have to put up borders because to keep the trash, to trailer trash out. Because here's the thing: it's when you understand that it's class, basically, income becomes the border, success becomes the border. They can't if they move into an area where they know that Billy Ray and Billy Ray and the white girl from Hustle and Flow can't afford to live there. So they've self separated right there. They've separated right there. And so, but I think, and you alluded to it, even when black people get to the point to where they could separate from the nonsense, there's aspects of it that they want to cling on to and cape for and stay connected to. They don't let these suits fool you. I'm from the streets. You hear that kind of stuff. So yeah. So I
And that's why I don't like Mayor Thug nigga from Baltimore.
yeah
I want
yeah
better for my leadership. I expect my leadership class to be better than me. Right? I know that
yeah.
sounds crazy, but
No,
I'm
but
an average regular guy. I'm a regular fucking. I keep cursing. I'm sorry. I'm a
no,
regular
yeah.
Joe, and from that perspective, I want to be able to look up to leadership, not look across laterally. Like leadership shouldn't be the guy doing slightly better than me. No, leadership is the guy doing leaps and bounds better than me. But black leadership doesn't want to see itself as that. Black leadership wants to see itself as like, I'm just as good as niggas in the hood. You're not supposed to be.
Right. Right. SKC, when you says the culture has an inherent flaw that few want to address. Yeah, see, when I talk about people, you know, dropping, abandoning, parting ways with the negative parts of the culture and more black people doing it, then I mean, I don't know who you're addressing. I don't know who you're addressing when you say that. I don't know if you're directly addressing me, because a lot of times when black people start talking about, black people doing better, it's always somebody, and I've noticed this in a lot of the comments that I'm reading here. they're thinking that these people, and it happens a lot where they're talking about black people doing better, but they want to still keep and hang on to the negative parts of the culture. They don't want to part ways with that. They don't want to part ways with the negativity. It's like they want to bring everything over with it. Like, no, I'm saying a lot of that stuff got to get cut at the root, and those who got their head on straight separate from it. That's what I'm talking about. So like I saw somebody, I can't even find the comment. I'm fumbling over my words. I'm trying to find the comment. He said it won't work with black women in charge. Oh, no, that's one of the things that got to get cut at the root. That's one of the things that got to get cut at the root. So many things got to get cut at the root. So that's why I don't understand. Well, it don't work. It won't work if this. It won't work if that. Yeah, those are the things that are being said. That no, that's the bullshit. That's what we need to get separated from. But all right, so let's roll this video real quick because we even got off on a tangent. And so let's recircle the wagons. What is this video about? Well, real quick, shout out to Primetime89. I already read that one. He said Fresh Montana music video got shot up. To Christian Hutchinson in the building says, "BR, I can come up. I got commentary on this." Well, we want to get through the main topic before we circle back, because that was kind of a segue we got on, and a damn good segue. So when I open it up, we'll circle it back there, and hopefully he's still available to come on up. But shout out to everybody supporting the stream. Appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Perry, dropped a $5 cash app. Do appreciate it. All right, so set this up real quick before we roll the tape.
I actually think it's self-explanatory. Just let it play. People get it.
It's cool. This is the mayor of what? Of Arkansas, I think. Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's a small town in Arkansas. I forget the full name.
Yeah. Somewhere in Arkansas. No, they got the name right there. I just Eudora. Oh wait, no. Yeah. Well, okay. I think that's it. Eudora, Arkansas.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I wasn't sure what that was, but okay. All right, let's go.
Played with senseless acts of violence.
Hold on.
Are well aware, our city has been recently plagued with senseless acts of violence, which has led me to declare a state of civil emergency curfew, effective immediately for all citizens between the hours of 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. The only exceptions would be for medical emergencies and for employment. The loitering statute will be strictly enforced during this time, and a copy of that statute can be picked up at City Hall. Should you be caught during curfew hours, you will be subject to being stopped and searched. Other agencies have been contacted in order to assist with this endeavor.
This black woman implementing stop and frisk on their ass. Let's go.
Listen. You know it's weird? Standing behind all these men too, especially the white guys. The black guy, when you stop, every time you stop the camera, the black guy always looks like he don't want to be there. The white guys can't wait to go lock somebody up though.
Oh shit.
There will be a town hall meeting on Thursday, December 29th at 6 p.m. at the Commerce Building to give an update to all citizens about the recent acts of violence that have occurred in our city. Please, ma'am, please, sir, your assistance is greatly appreciated and it is needed. If you have any information that can be used towards a possible arrest, please contact Bill Sadler of the Little Rock, Arkansas State Police, or call the Arkansas State Police tip hotline at 501-618-8000. Please help us bring these senseless acts of crime to a stop. Thank you.
See, right here, that's the part. If this is my show, I would play the clip. It's like, I need help. Help me, bitch. Help me with these bills. Help me with these kids. This is a clip I got on my show. It's so funny. Yeah. But she's straight out bitch begging for help. All right, help me. I was trying to run this city, and y'all niggas keep killing each other, and I need help. Help me. And then you know what? Shout out to her for being honest, though. She's making an honest plea for help right there.
Yeah, man. Mr. Tober asks an interesting question. Mr. Tober asks an interesting question. Says, is that order against the Constitution, First and Fourth Amendment? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So
yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, it's pretty much understood that all of your rights will be suspended in any given emergency. I mean, COVID just proved that. So Get out of here with your Constitution talk, bruv.
Yeah, and some people will disagree with me in the chat. In extreme situations, I'm actually okay with that. In truly extreme situations, like just making the most random extreme scenario. If fucking goddamn if a bomb was if a bomb was dropped on the United States and it's some chemical, it's like if we're in chemical warfare and they say they somehow managed to float some bombs out here with some chemicals that will make your heart stop in 60 seconds, and they sprinkled them, peppered them all throughout the all throughout the country, and the shit just float in the air for 24 hours. We're asking all U.S. citizens don't leave the house for 24 hours. I mean, one, if somebody want to walk out there and potentially die, then that's on them. But at the same time, in extreme situations, I'm okay with implementing some shit that, hey, that's not constitutional, telling me I can't leave the house. In extreme situations, I'm okay with it. People had their issues with it in the pandemic because they just didn't buy the extremity of they didn't buy it being that extreme. But
let me ask you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the point? What is the point of a constitution if we'll break it every time there's an emergency?
That's a fair question. But
I mean, I'd rather live under a king if that's what we're gonna do.
So that's sort of the situation we're in, where we would have to basically, we gotta trust our elected officials are not going to abuse that power to implement something to implement what essentially amounts to martial law. we elect them and we trust them that they're not going to abuse it. In the event that we do think that they abuse it, okay, we got to vote their ass out in the next election because they're abusing it. So that is sort of how the relationship between citizen and in the government in a free country that they have power to basically do things that would technically qualify as violating of certain rights, but certain rights and liberties. But at the same time, it's like we elect them, we trust that they're not going to do it, but in the extreme situations, they do have power to do it. That's where we at. I don't know. I don't know how else it works in a free society. Basically, then that's if we don't accept that, then we're basically saying it's anarchy all the no, it wouldn't be anarchy. I can't go that far to say it's anarchy, but because if I just take my previous statement, that's where I'm at. I stand on that.
I don't really disagree with your concern or your observations. I just still stand by the question because there's politic in theory, and then there's what you call real politic. And real politic isn't about theory. Real politic is about power and ability. What can you do and how much are you willing to do? And we kind of, at this point in our country's history, we are at a moment where like the concept of the Constitution seems to not be real anymore. And so when the concept of the Constitution, when politic in theory is out of the window, we're going to just move closer and closer to real politic. That's why I said the whole thing about having a king. Because like, if these words on paper that you've been holding self-evident for 100 to 250 years don't mean anything, then sooner or later, we're just going to have a king. And the good thing about having a king is when shit goes wrong, you know who to kill.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh, well, hold on. I'm looking at this other clip you got going. It looked like somebody, like you sent me a shoot 'em up clip, but no, it looked like they blurred it out pretty good. But let's see.
That's a good clip. That's a good clip.
Yeah.
That's actually about kids in Chicago. A news station tracked like this one group of kids over like 10 years of their life. So starting at like, I don't know, 8 or 4 or something to 14 or something like that. And they're talking about living under the Chicago violence. So it's a good clip. And all that stuff is from the news. So it's nothing you can't play.
All right. But shout out to Mr. Tober. Definitely good question right there. But do you got anything else on this when Sister Wakanda over here, enacting all this female girl power on a small town in Arkansas. Basically, she cracking out the big whips on them. What you got? You got any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Not much. There was another clip. I was up for hours trying to find this one clip so I can add it to the show, Bernard, because people are going to start fleeing like the black cities and towns. The people who can will. And I had a clip of a lady in Baltimore saying exactly that. Like, I love it here. I've been here my whole life. I'm from the city, but I'm not willing to sacrifice my kids. And that's kind of what I think is the next move beyond that. Once you got the black mayor standing with the police, like, listen, we're going to have a curfew and we're going to arrest you. And you know why? Because you niggas won't behave yourselves. Like, once she kind of crosses that threshold, it's going to be bad and people are going to start leaving. And so I'm just wondering if that's going to be the next trend over the next couple of years. Black people leaving their black enclaves like you guys were just talking about.
All right. Yeah, and I would just argue that black people are already leaving. It's just a matter of, can you? Are you in position to leave? When black people get, when they get successful enough to get the hell on and get the hell out, they're out of there. They're out of there. I actually grew up in a neighborhood, from about 7th grade on. Most of the people in the neighborhood was enough of them to where I could say pretty much everybody was black, and a lot of 2-parent households, blended families, but the two a man and a woman adult in it nonetheless, but a lot of blended families. Because mine was, my mom got married, and so most of the households, it was it was basically, it was a middle class black neighborhood, people who had decent jobs, and so I've seen functional black neighborhoods, like they exist. So and the people that lived in that neighborhood, they you couldn't pay them to live in the hood part of the hood. Some people you couldn't pay them to do it. You couldn't pay them to do it. They didn't work hard and get in position some point in midlife to just go live in the ghetto part of the ghetto. So that's why I say there's an organic element to it when you're talking about black enclaves where they don't engage in the nigga shit. But excuse me. But it do be a lot of crossover. It do be a lot of nigga shit riding through there. You can't really avoid that. But Mr. Tobert in the building with another one. He says, to Hood's points, if black people leave, is that a version of save your community, black man? If they leave, real quick, I know he asked that to you.
That's a weird take. That's a weird take, save your community. I don't get that, but it's an interesting take on it because that's actually a version of saving yourself, I would argue.
Yeah. And that's one of the fallacies in the whole, save your community thing. Like, even the people that are talking about that, they still are moving to another. They're not. If saving the community, and this is one thing I think SKC kind of, me and him kind of, bump head, like in a very lightweight kind of way, bump heads on the whole idea of saving a community. Don't mean that exact location. We're talking about black people doing better. We're not talking about black people in that exact rundown location.
Not them niggas.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not talking about them niggas.
I would like it for them niggas. I would love to see them do better. but typically, is people moving different, and people who move different tend to move somewhere different. It's like it doesn't play out like that. It's not about trying to reharvest the most unfertile grass possible or the unfertile land possible. It's not about trying to do that. But shout out to Mr. Tober. Do appreciate the super chat. Explain further what you mean by that. Because thank you for the super chat. And so I don't want to just dismiss it. So further explain what you mean by that. He says, if you take your kids. See, still don't get where you're going. Go ahead and flesh it out, type it out, and you don't got to super chat it again. You got a super chat, but just type it out and I'll click on it because you already super chatted. But all right, so I'm about to roll the not so beautiful bean footage on this one. Appreciate everybody supporting the stream. Trying to catch all of them. I don't got nobody in the back clicking on the super chats and shit and stuff. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, I'm gonna cuss. It's hard to not cuss, but do them damn. I don't even understand the rules that YouTube tried to implement with the.
I know. It's so opaque. I don't know their rules. I'm just trying to be better.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with them. I don't know what's up. I'm doing my own thing. YouTube pro tip: even when you be cussing, that the last live stream I did, or that one when I had about D Wade and Gabrielle Union, I don't even know if you came on that one or not, but that one, it was so much cussing in that thing, and it got a green $ green light. The pro tip is, if you make shorter form content that you didn't cuss and going to get a green light, you make more of that content. They start to make some of your content that they know damn well shouldn't get a green light. They start to make that get a green light too. So some of my live streams are sitting there with a green light, and yeah, y'all don't even know YouTube what we talking about with the green light. It's like a green $ is basically saying your channel passed the YouTube. Your video passed the YouTube requirements and will receive full monetization and ads and all of that stuff. And basically, that's YouTube giving you a pat on the head, said you did good, boy, you did good. And but it's a way to get the YouTube attaboy pat on the head. It's a way to do it and still be on some nigga shit. But all right. Okay, but all right, I'll just go ahead and roll this.
You don't have to see the wounds from gun violence to experience the pain of living through it.
Hold on, wait. Let's look at this now. Let's look at the form on this shot, okay? I don't think they teach you
violence to experience
gun range. Homeboy is let me blow it. He's shooting like this.
He's shooting over his own shoulder, right?
Like he like like you ain't.
It looked like you posed it for an album cover. This is how you pose for your first debut album as a gangster rapper.
He ain't aiming at a goddamn thing. That's why I say them ain't no mass shooters. Them just them shooters that can't shoot. Because that was just ridiculous shooting right there. Like look. Look how he's shooting. Like, man, you would have did better. Instead of trying to just square up, aim, and shoot, you would have you run the risk of getting shot because you're not running away, but you increase your chance of hitting your target. Because apparently this person is, maybe the guy who running away did get shot, but this person right here, he's a terrible shot. This guy was shooting running away. This person was not running away. He was walking forward and standing still. But I think he missed all of those.
You don't have to see the wounds from gun violence to experience the pain of living through it, especially when you're young.
I think Chicago has been labeled helpless by the nation.
I'm more careful now.
What is the right way to move in Chicago?
Just knowing where you at all times.
Jakari Brown, Jeremiah Bell, Dejanay Polk, and Tashara Winters found refuge here at the Marillac House.
Gun violence is really, I feel like it has a hold on our city for real.
I first met them at the
can we stop real quickly? There's something else I gotta bring up. All right, this is, the sanitization, they sanitize language so you can sanitize your thoughts, right? Just follow me for a minute here. They sanitize language so you can sanitize your thoughts. Chicago is not suffering from gun violence. Guns are not violent people. Okay? Guns do not hate anybody. Guns don't have ops. Guns don't make diss records. Guns don't hunt you down and roll down the window and shoot themselves as you're driving down Main Street. Guns don't do any of these things. Gun violence is a lie. This is black violence. That is all this is. And until the country, black, white, and whoever is in the middle, until the country can be honest about that phenomena, Until black people especially can be honest about that title without being defensive and wanting to pick a fight with the white man, we won't get anywhere. Guns don't hate anybody. This is not a gun violence issue. Guns are not the reason why these children are afraid. It's the people with the guns, and most of them are black.
That's you.
Man, that's crazy.
At that time, they ranged in age from 9 to 15.
How many of you guys have been exposed to some type of violence in this neighborhood?
Jeremiah was the youngest. He told me about the loss of his father.
He got shot when he was going to a store.
Do you talk about it often?
No, I just try to forget it.
When you think about what you felt, what you experienced at 9, how has that shaped you at 16?
I mean, well, first off, that shouldn't be something that, any kid should have to go through, but it's going to mold you, and it's going to change your...
Hold up. That nigga's 15? Hold on. Hold on. He's 15. That boy sound like he got a degree already. That boy sound like a grown-ass man. Hold on. I had to look at the screen for a minute. Like, wait a minute. That is a man. No. I'm just listening to the baritone and the voice. I'm just listening to the bass in the voice. I'm like, whoa, that's a man.
Yeah. No. Well, let me just see.
I mean, well, first off, that shouldn't be something that, any kid should have to go through, but it's going to mold you, and it's going to change your, perspective on people around you.
Back then, Jakari...
Yeah, no, that's actually kind of normal. Like, you got daughters, right? Yeah.
Well, I got a daughter. I got a son, but I got 2 daughters. Yeah.
Yeah. How old is your son?
He's 9.
Yeah, you're gonna see in like about 4 or 5 years, he gonna he gonna say something to you, and you gonna look up like, like my son. No, it literally happened where my son was like just walking through the house talking, and the cadence of his voice, it sounded like him, but the bass of it snuck up on me. And I thought some grown nigga was in my house. So yeah, no, that's how 15-year-old boys sound. That's
right. I ain't even trying to pick on the boy. That just threw me off guard. I had to look at the screen like, wait, who's talking?
No, that deep voice, it sneak up on you. Yeah, you gonna see with your son. You're gonna see one day, especially if it happened over the phone. If it happened over the phone where it seemed like his voice would get deep overnight, you gonna hear a grown ass man voice call you daddy, and it's gonna be weird. It's like, hold on. it's a weird, no, trust me, it's a weird feeling when it happened the first time. It's like you get used
right.
to the kid voice calling you daddy, but when somebody voice starts sounding as deep as yours calling you daddy,
no,
it's like,
that's when you go. That's when you go from daddy to dad. All right, you just dropped the daddy. Now it's just dad. All right, dad sounds more respectable. You're a man now, son.
Yeah.
Expressed fear.
Do you feel safe?
At home, but not outside.
In 2021, he was arrested for carrying an illegal gun. The case was later dropped.
Tell me about what went into that decision.
Wait a minute. The kids in the study is getting arrested for carrying guns now?
Wow. Hold up. I didn't even catch that. I was reading the chat. Can we go back a second? That's lit. Hold on. Chicago is not a real place.
I hope I heard that wrong.
Outside.
In 2021, he was arrested for carrying an illegal gun. The case was later dropped.
Tell me about what went into that decision.
Just a lot of violence going on around me. Seeing a lot of people that's my age, my brother age, getting killed at a young age. So it's like, yeah, let me get a gun.
At just 14, Dejanay couldn't.
So just to make sure people understand what happened here. They took 4 kids and they interviewed them when they were young, when they were all like 8 or 9 or so, and or whatever old they were when they showed the image of them when they were y'all saw it when they were like, that's them now. This is them when they were kids or something like that. And yeah, this is them when they were kids. So they fast forward. This was in 2014. They fast forward to right now. The kids who they were interviewing right there in the study about violence in Chicago or whatever, and then they wanted to do like a interview him, talk to him, and then check back with him 8 years later and see what's going on in their life, and do they still feel the same way? Do they still feel not safe? Have they been affected by it? Have they been victims of it? Blah blah blah, and this or that. And then they come to find out when they do it that one of the people involved in it, I got arrested for carrying a gun too. Like that's I mean, it's a fine line, and I don't want to like say nothing bad about him, because I mean he did say that he was carrying an illegal gun, so he shouldn't got to try to get a legal gun. So I don't even know how it works when you're underage, but either way it go, I don't want to say nothing bad about him, because he seemed like a nice young man, and he said that he did it for the reason of protecting himself from all the stuff that's going on out there. But it's a fine line between that and this kid that was involved in the study basically what if he would have became one of the people with a body on his record? That's what I'm going here. That would have really just crystallized the problem to some degree.
Well, he would have been doing his segment from jail. It had like a TV screen up.
Yeah, you get where I'm going with that. If one of the kids involved in the whole little study became one of the stats.
Later dropped.
Yeah,
Tell me about what went into that decision.
Legal gun.
What's up?
I'm sorry. Dead Set Anime in the chat said the prisons and jails are filled with nice young men, and that's kind of the problem with the scenario. And I get your hesitation to want to say too much harsh about the kid, and I understand it, but that is the reality, though. The prisons and jails are full of nice young men, so to speak.
SKC, what part of people who are not on the nigga shit separating from the nigga shit don't you understand? You have done that. Like, what don't you understand about that? It's like he just hell bent on saying that anybody who's talking about black people do it better, but they have to inherently just bring the negative of the culture with them when they separate. It's like that's just a weird thing that you seem to just not grasp the concept of that. It's weird.
I think that is the phenomena that is the problem, though. We expect the same thing I just said about black leadership. That is not something that can be fixed externally, right? The idea that the one, that you need a hard line class separation, and then two, the people who rise up to an actual de facto leadership class, the so-called elite, they have to see themselves as a part and above the masses, and then implement policies that can uplift the masses to a certain degree. They'll never get to your level, perhaps on a group level, maybe some individuals, but the idea that your leadership has to actually like rise you up. That's not something that you really see from black culture. And I think that's what SKC is getting at. The very notion of gun violence, right? That simple mental trick. Until black leadership can address that openly as black violence, then that enclave thing is going to be very, very unlikely. And I think maybe that's kind of what SK's seeing, because I see the same problems as well. Like, until you fix your spirit, it doesn't matter what church you go to.
No, I understand that completely, but the people who are calling out what's wrong with everybody's spirit and basically trying to, emboldening other people to get their spirit right, so to speak, it reeks of the spirit will never get right. The people will never get. It's like, yeah, okay, it's true with some of them. It's true with some of them, but there's clearly a lot of black people who are not on the nonsense. They just cape for the nonsense. They want to be attached to the nonsense. They want to be a part of it. They want to, so I get where you're coming from, and I like how you explained it, and you probably explained it better than what SKC is doing. But I think I made it clear that what I'm talking about already naturally happens. People, even if they hold on to some ideological things, the practicality of how they live their life, they separate from it. They start doing better. They get a better job. They get with somebody who's also doing better, and then they go and they move the hell away from nonsense. That's what they do. I'm talking about the black people who get their shit together, get their head on straight, and separate themselves from the nonsense like that. So just from that standpoint, if we start there, then I don't think we're talking about some insurmountable thing. If we're just talking about just the simple act of starting there, separating from the nonsense. I mean, I think I've separated myself from, not that I'm just living up high on the hill somewhere. Like I said, I live down. I don't live too far away from the hood to get, but but reality is you do separate yourself from some from nonsense, and like that's not, to me, that's not a daunting task. But there is a factor in the equation where a lot of black people, I think, need to explain to them that you don't have to be, attached to this stuff. You don't have to make excuses for what people are doing over there. You don't have to call it a gun violence plague in Chicago. We can call it what Hood Conservative is calling it and look at it for what it is, and then try to address it in a real way. So there's that. Let me get Clue Channel says, nah, BR, you still rock with black. You still rock with black. I met you at the Black Manosphere meetup. Like we acknowledge that we black. Like, let's not
got him.
Let's not get goofy.
No, but that's why I say, like, I struggle with the concept of it, right? Because your skin is it's a physical reality, but the concept is something else that's a little bit tricky, and that's why I kind of speak about it in, like, this esoteric terms of, you got to get your spirit right or whatever. Because what does it mean to be black? That's like a fundamental question for this whole black conversation, and I don't want to delve into it now, but I think that's kind of at the heart of all this stuff. What does it mean to be black then?
We'll do a show on that. Ooh, that probably be next week. What does it mean to be black? Because a lot of people define what it means to be black. They're basically saying all of the negative shit. That's what it means to be black. And so you can't talk about anything black unless you're putting all of the negative stuff on your shoulders, and you're basically trying to shine all that shit. You're trying to spray perfume and cologne over all that shit to mask the smell, and you're trying to get something, and you're trying to wash, and you're basically trying to polish. You're basically trying to polish a turd.
Oh, you mean like slavery? Oh, you mean like Jim Crow? Oh, you mean like reparations? Oh, you mean like the civil rights movement? What do you mean? That mainstream black culture is reveling in all of our losses, and then at the same time we revel in our losses, we were kings.
Yeah, and so when we talk about black, or as you asked the question, what does it mean to be black? It's like and I understand where they're coming from, but they're saying that in order to be black, in order to use the term black, you must embrace and bring with you and wear on your shirt everything that's wrong. And so so we'll have to get into that. We'll have to get into that. But all right, let's move forward.
The case was later dropped.
Tell me about what went into that decision.
Just a lot of violence going on around me. Seeing a lot of people that's my age, my brother age, getting killed at a young age. So it's like, let me get a gun.
At just 14, Dejanay couldn't conceal her caution.
When a car goes slow, I'll dial 911 on my phone. I'm very aware of my surroundings.
The violence here has robbed them of a childhood free of tragedy, a cycle that has continued into adulthood.
I recently lost a cousin who was really close to me, and excuse me if I cry.
How many more people have you lost to gun violence since the last time we spoke?
I'll say at least about 20.
20?
I couldn't tell you.
What the hell?
You couldn't tell me.
Damn, those are combat numbers.
That's an astronomical number. 20?
I can't name 20 people I even care about that much. You lost 20 people already? What the hell?
You cannot. I mean, he probably mean. Oh man, I mean, he probably got a real wide tent to where if he loosely knows somebody or knows somebody that know that guy who was on the news that got shot, he probably counting that as a loss. But other than that, I don't know how you can. I don't know how it could be 20.
Or hear me out. He's in a gang.
So you think he got in the gang and he just cleaned himself up and tucked his bandana and came up there and acted like a good kid?
Right. What does a 15-year-old gang member look like? Like they don't have to be all, tattoo faces. You don't get the face tats until you're like 30 or something, right? So like maybe that's why he had the gun in the first place, because it's rough out here and he had to pick a team, and then next thing you know, members of his team just start getting clipped.
All right. But that 20 is astronomical. That's an astronomical number. Let's roll it.
It's been 7 years. I cannot tell you how many people I've lost to love violence since then. I don't know.
So where does that leave you all 7 years from now?
Trying to make change within.
Make change to create the future that they want to see.
Well, we're happy to report that Jakari, Jeremiah, Dejanay, and Tashira are all either in school or working, and all of them still volunteer at the Marillac House.
All right. Now, you sent something in the back chat.
Yeah, because you guys were talking about black enclaves, and this just popped up on my Twitter feed yesterday, so I just wanted to pull that up briefly. People are trying the little black enclave thing, and it's funny. This is an idea that I had. I was just thinking about stuff one night, and I was like, it would be cool to actually just build up a little, like, especially if you were gonna be like if you were gonna invest or have like some real estate property, build a little neighborhood full of tiny homes.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, again, I'm gonna go back to the thing.
Hear me out. Hear me out, though. Hear me out. You sell them to single moms. Tiny homes for single moms. Ah.
All right, and I got to do this without the sound because they got to put rap music in it.
Yeah, I hate TikToks. They got all these copyrighted musics and everything. I don't know how they get away with this.
Black-owned micro community. Now, listen. I mean, okay, listen. Okay, I'm not being negative about this because I support it. I support it, but this is my thought process, and this is just what I think is happening here. They calling it a black-owned micro community, and basically, I think what this ultimately amounts to is a black real estate investor bought some land and put some property on the land and just going to rent out the houses to black folks. I mean, that's in the name in the business of real estate development. in the business of real estate development, that's called normal. So when they say a black owned micro community, I mean, yeah, okay, it's a black neighborhood where black people are renting out houses. Now, the person is buying all that land and then selling pieces of it to black people, then okay, black people are owning aspects of it. But I mean, it's really just basically black people just showing up to buy a house or rent a house. It's still under the same law, same jurisdiction, same everything. They got to call the same police as everybody else. I mean, but
I don't understand. Hold on. You got me lost now, bro, because you were the one poo-pooing SKC because he wasn't all in on the black enclave, and I don't understand your trepidation here. Like, what's the issue?
No, it's not trepidation. It's not trepidation. When I talk about I talk about black people doing better in separating from the nonsense. I'm good with separating. I'm good with separating from the nonsense. It's so I'm not even talking. I'm not even coming at it from a perspective of builds. I tried to explain that earlier. I'm not even coming at it from a perspective of build a own separate, unique community. I mean, I've literally seen with my own eyes that when houses came up for sale in a neighborhood not too far away from me, that black people are the ones that just happen to bought the houses, and now that not very nice neighborhood with a lot of nice houses, it's majority black people living there. That's it's really that simple. It's really that simple. So I'm good. I'm good with this. I'm good with this. I just was
I don't know how we solve the problem, no, because even you can't help but to notice it, right? And it's a phenomena that is so repetitive. It's now that we're in the internet age, people are making videos about this. Like somebody in the chat was talking about people bringing their baby daddies from prison and all that. I think I played on my channel, and I probably got saved somewhere in my bookmarks on Twitter, a video of a woman actually telling that exact story about how these Section 8 neighborhoods are actually good neighborhoods until you start bringing in, women will bring in their boyfriends. They already got a bunch of out of control kids, they teenagers, probably 16, 17, doing all kind of stuff. Then they got their man doing all kind of stuff. Then the general chaos of that kind of household. And over time, it ruins the whole neighborhood.
And that's part of you explained better to me why I said that this don't exactly count, because all it really is a real estate investor buying some real estate, putting some houses on it, and just going to rent it to black people. Like there's all that already exists. It's places where black people just rent houses. That's why I say it's not. It's about the. It's a like I said, like what I said with white people. The success, becoming successful is the barrier to entry. Being able to rent out a place that a black person own, that's not a high barrier to entry, because you can rent out a place anywhere. If all you got to do, if you have a job or is on Section 8 or whatever the hell, you can just go rent out a place. This is going to just basically amount to black people just renting out apartments. Like so it's good for the real estate investor, because whoever the real estate investor is no doubt doing good business. But it's not exactly what I was talking about. Like black people moving from one black neighborhood to another black neighborhood. The black people going from renting some apartments over here to renting some apartments over there, but these apartments are owned by black people. That doesn't make the whatever issues people had, it doesn't mean that they're going to disappear because the person that they're renting from is black. That's all. That's why I'm saying that I don't look at this as a shining thing. Like, yeah, community. I just look at it as a real estate investor getting paper.
Now you're kind of strolling to my position, which it's a internal spiritual problem.
Yes, and that, yeah, but hold on, but that's exactly why I say the barrier to entry is those aspects of the mentality, those aspects of the spirit, and those aspects of the success in money and accomplishment that people make. That's typically the barrier to entry, where people go and live marketably, immeasurably better lives. So that's what I'm talking about. That's ultimately what I'm talking about. Now I would like to see people at the bottom ultimately, on average, live better. I would like to see that. I would like to see more black-owned businesses and black employment go up. I would like to see those things happen. Yeah, but what they're talking about here, I just want to say this is not exact. This isn't what I was talking about. I see a real estate investor at the top making money. That's what I see here, and I just see people who can rent an apartment. But let's play ball. Let's play ball. It's just 10 seconds long.
Yeah, and I suppose that's fair. Like, it's not going to just get built for free. But this is literally an idea that I thought about a while ago too. Just doing the whole tiny home thing, but like making it a little community.
Mm-hmm.
And this is cheap housing essentially. This is kind of how you approach the affordable housing issue in my mind.
Yeah, that's what I see this as. I see this as some nice, newer, cleaner looking, but affordable housing complex project situation. Yeah, and that's good. That's good. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying this isn't exactly what I was talking about. This isn't exactly what I was talking about.
Like, all right, here's an example. It's a little bit of a backstep, but that clip that we were just playing with those kids in Chicago, and they were supposedly like a part of some kind of youth rec center program, right? And this might be a little bit controversial, but in my mind, I think a great thing that could have happened would have been, because it's so obvious, pairs, right? You could have you could have easily had two couples in that group, right? You've all known each other from childhood. You've all grown up together. It would make perfect sense for that whatever organization is trying to rescue the kids to actually teach the individually. I'm not saying you force them together, but to individually teach them the ins and outs of actually how to pair off and form a family unit, and what needs to happen and what's required from both parties, so that that group of 4 kids doesn't just grow up and go off to be 4 individual adults, but you have 2 couples who go on to reproduce more children from an actual family that has history and relations and a culture together. In my mind, that's kind of how you solve the problem, both the problem of their lives, the individual kids, and also this problem of the mythical community.
Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. Shout out to everybody in the building. Appreciate each and every one of you.
You want to go back? You want to go back to this Baltimore thing, and because that clip with the man and the older guy and the older black woman having a little discussion here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to pull up right now.
I got it for you. I'm gonna give it to you right now. Drop it in the back chat. Boom.
All right.
There it goes. I want to know exactly what that woman's position is. Because I just started looking into this after you sent me the email last night. But like, at what level is she? She seems to be some kind of official in the government, and maybe they both are. I don't know. But it was a great moment. It's like a live, raw moment right after this mass shooting that happened at Emerson Village High School. This is the story we started out. We kind of been going for a while now. We started the show talking about a mass shooting in Baltimore at Emerson Village High School. And this is something that happened just maybe 2 days ago in Baltimore City. And right here we have video of a little verbal altercation between 2 city residents. One of them is probably a city official. And this is probably right outside the Emerson High School scene.
All right. Let's get... Let's go.
The people that's on this they gonna stand up for you. Yeah, they gonna stand up for you. They the same idiots that keep voting y'all in the office.
Don't call me an
They
idiot.
the same people that keep voting y'all in the office.
No, you're here for a political stunt.
No. Because y'all always hide behind the damn wall. You don't care about nobody.
I personally not.
You don't care about nobody.
12 people this
You
year.
don't care about nobody.
Her old ass got some good lungs or something, man. She yelled very, like, his voice all scratchy and shit, but she got a very clear, very projectile voice for an older woman. But anyway.
Personally not.
You don't care about nobody.
12 people this
You
year.
don't care about nobody.
But don't put your hand in my
You
face.
don't care about nobody.
I care about everybody.
Yeah, you don't.
It's
You
turning to
don't.
something else.
You trying to win something.
Yeah.
And that's why you keep losing. Because you're grandstanding. Make the change. Make the change. Insanity is you're doing the same thing. But just keep on arguing. Keep on fussing, sir.
It's okay. You're doing more good than you think.
I just want to point out, and it's not that big of a deal, but I was just looking at all the cops. I counted 3 black cops and 1 white cop. I always do that whenever it's something in Baltimore, Atlanta, Detroit. I just look at the cops, and there's always majority black cops. So I like to point that out, because when we talking about policing issues and all of that stuff, I'm like, when shit go down in the hood, it be in especially Atlanta, Baltimore, Detroit, Philadelphia, the black cities where the black population is pretty damn high. Yeah, they're getting policed by black folks. I just got to point that out.
Before there was, I think George Floyd. I don't know. Did Freddie Gray happen before George? I'm not sure.
I can't
Maybe,
remember.
but that Freddie Gray thing, that was actually, if you look at the mugshots of all the cops they put on trial, at least 50% black, if not more. It was just like mostly black people, like the same way you're looking at it now, because the Baltimore Police Department is like 60-70% black. The city is like 80% black.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're saying Freddie was before Floyd.
Yeah, do your job. Do your job.
All right. This dude right here, she accused him of trying to make a political stunt. Is he somebody you don't know who he is, or if he's trying to run for something and just trying to be
I don't
seen?
think he is. I know that woman, obviously she's in office. She's saying she's going around knocking on doors. And there was another guy right at the beginning. It was like a chubby, light-skinned dude with a beard or something. He's got a position in Baltimore. I'm not sure what, but he's definitely in Baltimore as some type of official. I was looking up a little bit, and I saw his face as I think he's like, I forget, I think he works for a school district or something. But this black guy with the sweater on, he just seems to be an angry citizen.
All right, Sir Tyson in the building with a $5 super chat. He says similar to over 50 community. A community like that could work if you required the occupants to be married, no single mothers, don't care if widowed. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I look at that as a good thing. The real estate investor buying some land, building some property, and yeah, and gonna rent out apartments to black people. At least I think those were apartments. I couldn't exactly tell, but either way it go, that's
Well, it was tiny houses. It's a house about the size of an apartment.
yeah. But okay, I guess I'm judging because it's like that. Whenever I see that patio upstairs, I think apartment, and that could be inaccurate. But I think I saw like an upstairs patio, and whenever I see that, my knee jerk reaction said, "Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It was upstairs patios, and whenever I see that, those are normally apartments because that upstairs patio is the de facto porch, so to speak." But
well, no, you got to remember these are like literally built the shipping container model, and that's just how they do it to expand the living space. So it could very well be one home because remember these are tiny homes; they're not meant to be split into smaller apartments in the first place. So I'm pretty sure these are all just like little houses, basically.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, thank you for that super chat, Sir Tice. Now we're about to get into the part that I know you said that light skinned dude with the beard. He gonna for some reason he gonna get live with the dude in the gray shirt.
Told me out here
At least
dying. Y'all told me out here dying.
Oh wait, this was a smaller version of it. Well, I got another. You sent me another version of it. So give me a second. One moment. Okay, this must be the continuation of what we just saw. I could just tell how they positioned. It looked like it's like 5 seconds after where this last video stopped. And you could make out what they're arguing about, but it just seems like, I don't know, it just seemed like just a bunch of yelling and grandstanding, and they're mad, but it makes no sense. That's why I put in the thumbnail what they're really arguing about. I don't see why they're mad at each other. I don't see what any of these people were to do to truly stop this. Like the thing, like I said, right. Again, we talked about it earlier in the show. The things that could stop it and prevent it are some things that some would call, extreme, intrusive, or over policing. So and I don't think none of these people here support that. So why are they fighting with each other? That's why I'm trying to figure out. Like it just reeks of grandstanding. But let's go ahead and pull this up and get further into it. Let's get further into it here. Here we go. All right, let's go.
The people that's on this,
No, this is the same clip. Yeah, it's the same clip.
They gonna stand up for you. They the same idiots that keep.
No, this guy wasn't deep into the argument. I mean, it's in the same area at the same time. I don't remember him in the. Hold on, wait, hold on.
Don't call me
Okay.
idiot.
They the same people that keep voting y'all in the office.
No, you're here for a political.
Okay, yeah, you're right. This is the same clip. I think the other one maybe just started in a different spot. Because it's
Yeah, no, but that guy is definitely an official of some sort in the city. I don't know if he works for the school district or the city directly though.
All right, so let me just go to the next one you had on deck, and I think it was this one. Oh wait, nope, this is a whole nother one. I haven't seen this one. Damn it, it was one, or maybe I watched that on my own somewhere else. But it was one you sent where the where that nope, it wasn't that one. Well, my bad, yeah, my bad. I'm digging through stuff. Give me a second. I'm digging through stuff. Give me a second. But all right. So screw it. We got enough there. So I mean, I don't know if you got any further commentary on that, but I can't even find what I'm looking for. But I don't know if you got any further commentary on that. I could pull up the last clip that you got.
No, I got the one where he was getting heated right here. I was looking for that one. It's a clip from CBS Baltimore. I'm gonna send it to you right now.
Okay.
It's a different angle, but I think this is more what you were talking about with the little chubby light-skinned dude getting a little animated. Yeah. But and this is the question, the issue that you just raised, like why he kind of looks like grandstanding. Like I agree a little bit. I understand the energy of the moment, but this is not the place to solve the problem. Certainly not the manner you solve this problem. But I'm wondering though, like, and this is a question that SKC and I, we talk about this a lot together and in our own way. But can Black America actually save Black America?
That's a good question. That is a good one. That is a good one because there is put it like this. What's going on with Black folks, there's an extreme element of it to the point to where something extreme would have to be done. Something extreme would have to happen, almost like it would have to take a damn near random act of God. I think, shout out to Angry Man, I think he said the only thing that has saved the community is an act of God. I think he said something like that. I'm probably botching the quote, but yeah, so not an act of God notwithstanding, it probably would take some extreme actions from somebody at the top.
I got an idea. I'm sorry. This just hit me like a lightning bolt. Mm-hmm. But we got to do this like one of those 3 a.m. infomercial ads from the same guys who brought you SYSBM, Save Yourself Black Man. SYCBM, Save Your Community Black Man. Now introducing SYSBC, Save Yourself Black Community. Dun, dun, dun.
Save yourself, Black community.
I'm going to print up some SYSBC shirts. Save yourself, Black community.
Oh, shit. That's funny. That is funny.
It's about to be another mass shooting outside of the mass shooting. They're about to have a whole new mass shooting outside of the mass shooting. It's like a mass shooting inception. We're gonna go to the mass shooting and then start another one. That's how we do it. That's Baltimore shit.
That's some funny shit. If one of them go to reaching for the gun, then it's like, see, that's the problem.
Arguing with Baltimore. Baltimore City Councilman Christopher Burnett after 5 Edmondson Westside High School students were shot here. One of them died.
What is it going to take before we make that change?
Community members can't believe the new.
What change is she talking about? It's
Yeah,
like
ever since Obama, people been saying the word change, but I don't know what they mean. Like only thing changing is transsexual stuff. That's people are changing their gender. That's the only change that I really see happening. That's of note, but I don't know what they mean.
Yeah, that change, hope and change take a whole new connotation. Just saying, the only thing changes people's gender. That's fucked up. Oh man.
Year is starting this way.
We have plateaued 300, over 300, over 300. It's going up. Every politician have guaranteed that they have a crime plan.
Again, and the question I keep asking: what crime plan black leaders or politicians implement that don't involve doing something that would constitute what they would in other situations call over policing? That's the hurdle when they talk about we got a plan for crime or this or that. Like Biden still getting dragged for the crime bill. Mayor Giuliani, Rudy Giuliani, still getting dragged for stop and frisk. What plan y'all got that don't involve over policing? I would love to hear it, and that's why that's why I'm in a place where what are they arguing and yelling about? None of them support any type of over policing. None of them support any type of like what. Yeah, y'all are basically on the same page and on the same team. Y'all just mad that it happened, and y'all just yelling at each other. Y'all like people powerless to do something about a situation that you're mad about. So y'all just throwing rocks through each other's windows, basically, metaphorically speaking. Y'all basically rioting. Like that's what y'all doing. Y'all mad at something that happened. Y'all can't stop it from happening, so y'all just lashing out. That's what rioters do. Like so that's how I see that. I see this just a version of grown adult middle-aged rioting. They just mad and gotta yell at somebody, but what they about to do about people shooting each other in Chicago or Baltimore or wherever this argument taking place.
Well, speaking of Chicago, I have another story that is crazy, and I'm trying to go back. I got to pull this up because I came across it really quickly last night. But apparently, Chicago schools are notorious for molesting and sexually assaulting their children.
Oh,
and it's a news story that just came. I'm going through my stash right now trying to find the story here. But yeah, somebody was just breaking the story last night about Chicago schools. I was like, what? But yeah, it's crazy, bro. I'm gonna get back to you in a second on that one.
All right. Well, what is this one about right here?
What do you got? Pull it up. I'm not even sure what you're talking about.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had it up. Well, it is up. I just don't got it clicked right there.
Actually, this is still about the Baltimore thing. She is another official in the city. I think she is the school CEO, if that's the proper title.
Mm-hmm. The school CEO.
Yeah, so she's giving her take on this whole thing.
Now let's see what the hell she's talking about.
Concerns are, concerns are what the concerns are generally in our city. That is how we keep our young people safe. This is an instance where, school staff did what we asked them to do. The school principal had canvassed the businesses in the area to say, please do not serve to young people during school hours, because we know that it makes young people less safe when folks do that. And
people do what?
It's
Hold
frustrating to say, please do not serve to young people during school hours, because
what do they mean serve to young people?
but
Okay, all
they
right.
ask you to
You
do
got
it
you got to
while you're
know
in
the
school.
culture. I'll explain. Emerson Village, Emerson High School specifically is like right across the street from like a little shopping mall, like a what do you call it, like a strip mall kind of deal.
Mhm.
And so there's all these little shops and restaurants right there. So what happens is before school and during lunch, those are like two places that those are two times where kids will congregate in those areas. So like obviously before school, people are meeting up, getting something to eat or whatever, going to school. And then during the day, and I've been out of school since forever now, but during the day, there'll be a time where like you'd probably have an hour for lunch period,
Okay.
and people run outside the school and go to the shops or whatever and have lunch, eat lunch at one of those restaurants or just hang out. Kids, they'll just leave the school and hang out there for lunch
Yeah.
and then come back for their next class. And so that's what she's talking about. This is something that's been going on at that school since forever. Like I know about it, and I didn't even go to that school when I was in the city, but I knew that's how it went. And so she's now trying to blame that, for the kids being shot.
The bigger issue that I see is that, again, remember when I was talking about extreme things need to be done to solve a problem? Okay. What she essentially said is that all those businesses at the malls, the food centers, the food courts, all of that stuff, that they basically need to they essentially put up signs says we don't serve colored youth from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Like you know what? I'm willing to take that for a weekend to see what happens. Well, a week, not a weekend, because that's when the school's in.
Yeah, yeah. You got to suspend it during they can serve colored youth during the weekend, but during the week between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. No colored youth. That's but that's what she's trying to implement. But she don't. If you make it official, it sound bad. But she's basically telling these businesses don't serve these kids. that's essentially what it is. They got open campus. They got open campus lunch, which my school did at some point. When I was in high school. I remember when I was my junior year, I got my license. I bought my first little piece of a car. And yeah, I used to love leaving campus and going to Taco Bell and not coming back or coming back. Whatever.
I know.
I used to love that, but or you come back like if it was like fourth period, or if lunch was after third. Let's say lunch was after third period, and then you if you didn't care to go to your fourth period class, you leave, you go get some lunch, and then take an hour off, an extra hour, miss your fourth period, come back for fifth period, something like that. So yeah, so that's what they're dealing with, and I understand it. Kids want to go and do their thing during a little free hour or whatever, and basically, yeah, fights are breaking out and all kind of stuff is going down at the little shopping center. That's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening. All the kids are meeting up. The kids they be scheduling fights into this. we gonna meet up here. Yeah.
If you fight at the the sandwich shop or wherever they doing up there, whatever store it is, you're not going to get suspended from school. So it's a whole culture where like, all right, listen, we're going to go over here, do this, and then if you make it back to class, good for you.
Yeah. All right.
The principal had canvassed the businesses in the area to say, please do not serve to young people during school hours, because we know that it makes young people less safe when folks do that. And it's frustrating to have staff.
That don't make them less safe. It just means that kids are walking across the street to go to some place that sell food to buy food for their lunch.
Yeah.
That makes them unsafe.
Remember what I said. They sanitize language so you can sanitize your thoughts, okay? They sanitize the language so you can sanitize your thoughts. The kids are not, the stores are not making the kids unsafe. kids are killing other kids. How do you stop? How does the store come into play? Now, unless you can buy your gun at the 24-hour corner store and then go shoot a kid, I don't see how you blame the corner store.
Boy.
Yeah,
Members?
I just put another story in the back chat. I know you're looking all depressed right now. I'm gonna make you even more depressed after this next story. It's totally segue from this whole topic. It's actually a way worse, a way cringier topic. But
Uh-oh.
you gotta see this. I just
right.
found this last night after you sent me the email. I was looking up stuff to do, and I settled on this Baltimore thing. But in the middle of that, I caught this one little thread of a story, and I'm like, holy crap! And I was on your channel, I think, last time, and I asked about all this gender stuff, and if it comes to the Black community, stuff like Drag Queen Story Hour, and when it comes to the Black community, is there going to be outrage? And I said probably not. And it's starting to happen. It's starting to happen. I just found a story. I didn't even get to read it all myself, so we can kind of go through it together here. But from the Chicago City Wire, hundreds of cases of child abuse, sexual assaults from teacher to student. And I got a
yeah,
chart.
okay. So you're saying in Chicago, okay, in Chicago, you said it was a high rate of sexual assaults. Right now, I'm not going to be gentle either. Reports detail CPS teachers sexual grooming assaults of their students. Yeah, I don't know if you want to. I mean, because I haven't read it, so I don't want to just start from top to bottom and reading it. I don't know if you want to pull it up and how about you pull it up and I'll let you screen share it. That way you can like cycle through the parts that you want to highlight.
I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll pull up I'm gonna send you another clip, and it's just a chart, and you can just pull up the data on that chart real quickly here.
Okay.
Because they got a chart, a breakdown from the numbers in that article, and yeah, it's a long article. I didn't get a chance to preview it myself, so let's just do this here. This chart in the background is another link I just put up, and it's going to show you like a graphic, and you can just pull that up. And OMG, bro, the levels of the numbers of charges, the cases, like, no wonder y'all so crazy in Chicago.
Well, let's see.
Wow. Okay. Touching less than sexual abuse, 81 cases, or 81 allegations. Grooming, 35 allegations. Sexual abuse, 33 allegations. Sexual act, 26 allegations. Sexual comments, 25 allegations. Sexual electronic communication, 14 allegations. Oh man, y'all is doing a lot. Y'all be doing the most in Chicago.
Okay, wait a minute. So this is, just to be clear, I'm just reading what it says over here because it doesn't say on the chart exactly what this is talking about, but it says the caption over here is saying Chicago Public Schools and the Office of the Inspector General released a joint report on misconduct in the district, and oh my, they're struggling to manage an incredibly high case of volume, 470 allegations of sexual misconduct, hundreds substantiated. So this is in basically Chicago public schools. This much going on now. Damn. So okay, when we're talking about the sexual, okay, put it like this: if we're talking about, we're going to make sure we're clear. As a public schools office inspector general release report of misconduct. Okay, I'm trying to parse out. I'm trying to parse out something because that sexual act. I'm trying to figure out, is some of that student on student, or is that all student on a teacher on student? Like that's where it just gets bad. If in one school district, so to speak, that is that many cases of, right? Damn, I can't even highlight it.
That's a good question. But if you go back to the Chicago City Wire article, the very headline, it says OIG report details CPS, which is Chicago Public Schools, teachers' sexual grooming assaults of their students. So this is a
Yeah.
one-directional thing. This is a top to bottom thing.
This is teacher. Oh man. Oh man.
And so now it's such a weird segue, but now I'm thinking about that little 6-year-old kid in Virginia who shot his teacher.
Oh damn!
Just
Y'all couldn't see
wondering
that?
what's going on here. Yeah, you didn't pull anything up.
Oh my bad. My bad. I thought y'all could see it. My bad. Yeah, I'm doing y'all wrong. Hold on. Okay. My bad. My bad. I thought it was up. And even though it's up, y'all still can't exactly see it.
You got that banner, yeah, but you can see large. That's pretty much the gist of it right there. Yeah, that's like the whole thing you got. This is a total number at the bottom.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to move the banner out the way. But well, no, it's not really blocking. Maybe we blocking it over here with our yeah. It's not exactly big as I would like it to be, but yeah, I can
No, you
kind of.
got the whole image. That is the last line of the image. It just cuts off right there, so you're good.
Okay, but yeah, so that's y'all can see the numbers right there. Yeah, it says touching less than sexual abuse, 81 cases of that, grooming 35, sexual abuse 33, sexual act 26, sexual comments in person 25, sexual electronic communication 14. I'm kind of shocked that the electronic communication is less, but I guess that's people wising up. Like, nah, don't be putting that in the cyberspace. But outcry about past conduct, 8 student on staff inappropriate conduct, 4 failure to report, 1. But overall total 243. Like that is yeah, that is wild. That is wild. Yeah. Let's see, where am I going here? We had the 2-hour mark. I'm about to put the link in the chat. Put the link in the chat for anybody who wants to come up and participate and be a part of this conversation. Anybody who wants to come up and be a part of this conversation. Yeah, I got the link. The link is in the chat. The link is in the chat.
Let me send you another link, Bernard, so we can get a little bit more creeped out about what's going on in Chicago schools. Because I just brought this up the other day, and it's like the universe is hearing me and they're answering my questions. It's going down in Chicago, bro. It's really going down. Here, I'm gonna throw this one in the back chat now. This is from good old Lives of TikTok. You remember them?
Oh yeah. You put me up on. Yeah.
They got the goods on all this freaky deaky stuff. So apparently Chicago has gone full groomer and started introducing all this groomer stuff to their curriculum now, which probably helps to explain some of this weird stuff, the touchy-feely stuff and the text messages and stuff. But yeah, Chicago is definitely going full groomer with their school district.
All right.
Chicago Public Schools put out this training material for teachers. They claim there are students in pre-K.
I'm pulling it right now.
Yeah, Chicago believes in transgender kids. How about that? Lori Lightfoot with her weird looking stuff and her weird looking wife. They believe in transgender kids.
All right, here we go.
While we don't have CPS data on gender identity for students younger than middle school, we know that there are students in CPS classrooms as early as pre-K who identify as non-binary and trans. They deserve to feel supported at school just as much as older students. Research shows that children start to understand gender at a very early age. Around age 2, children become conscious of the physical differences between cisgender boys and girls. And before their 3rd birthday, most children can easily label themselves as their gender. By age 4, most children have a stable sense of their gender identity. Early childhood educators should consider ways to expand children's understanding of gender by challenging traditional gender stereotypes. For example, by encouraging students to play with toys they like rather than toys based on gender stereotypes. Children who assert a gender-diverse identity know their gender as clearly and consistently as their peers of the same developmental stage. This means that youth who are trans or non-binary have an equal understanding of their gender as cisgender youth. Gender-diverse children deserve and benefit from the same level of support, love, and acceptance as their cisgender peers.
And just backing up, this whole everything that she was saying, where does this come from?
This is a new training guidance for Chicago public school teachers.
So this is a training guide for Chicago public school teachers. That's what this is.
Absolutely. Oh, well, brief segment.
That is interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about that. It's I guess it just doesn't cease to amaze me or blow me away the degree in which, I've always looked at it, where we're talking about trans, a very small percentage, very small, very, very, very small percentage that all of that needs to be done to ultimately, if you're doing that much to cater to something that's that low in probability, it just reeks of you're trying to foster, cater, influence. It's almost, it just reeks of you're trying to make it happen. If you understand what I'm saying, it's like if we sitting there operating and walking on a 0% chance, like a less than 1% chance of somebody being a less than 1% chance of somebody being trans or whatever. We operating on a less than 1% chance of that. It's like, do you really got to do all of this with kids? Do you really got to do all of that?
Not only that, right? You mean to tell me that
and wait, go ahead. I gotta refill my coffee real quick. So go ahead. You got it.
You mean to tell me the people who are overseeing the school district with this level of sexual transgressions from teacher to student, right? So this group of teachers who have committed or who are alleged to have committed all manner of sexual violations on their student, these are the group of people who know best how to guide students into their sexual maturity, right? Right. Isn't that weird? People who are essentially trying to groom the people who are being charged with molesting the students happen to be experts on student sexuality. It almost makes you wonder, like, all right, it's kind of a weird question, but you know me, I'm willing to ask the weird questions, right? How does one become an expert on the sexuality of children? Has anyone ever stopped to pause? Has anyone ever paused to consider what it takes to become an expert on child sexuality? Has anyone like all right, just for example, don't do this at home. Ladies and gentlemen, absolutely, positively, do not try this at home. But I'm just imagining, what kind of experiments do you have to run to become well versed in the sexuality of prepubescent adolescent children? I'm really, the mind boggles. Like, I cannot fathom what it would take to become an expert. Like, how do you get to be expert level? Like, how do you get your black belt in child sexuality? That's the thing. I just, things that make you go, Judge Zilla, absolutely do not Google that. If you Google that, Judge Zilla, you will be met by law enforcement agents within the hour. You will be dragged off to an undisclosed location. And unless you are a member of the teachers union, you will not be forgiven. Only members of the teachers union are allowed to get a black belt in child sexuality. Like, really, who is giving out this knowledge? Of all the dangerous knowledge a person could have, I would argue that knowledge of child sexuality is probably the most dangerous. It's a weird subject. It's such a strange thing. Like, I've been to school for most of my life studying the sexuality of young children. Oh, really? Really? How did you do that? And I'm making a point. I'm actually not just being tongue-in-cheek facetious. I'm actually describing an actual event and a series of events. I'm actually talking about a real person in real American culture. I think his name was Kinsey. I cannot remember his name full on, but yes, there was a guy who made it his mission in life to study the sexuality of children. And of course, he did pedophilic things with children. And I think there was one particular case where one of those kids went on to kill himself later on in life. Like, dude, it was nuts. It was nuts. So, yeah, the people who in order to become an expert and to become fully knowledgeable in child sexuality, you have to do some things that most people would burn you alive for.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked right back in. I don't know how you led up to that, but yeah, that's fucking.
Oh, you missed it. You missed it. See, the wind up was everything. The pitch was nothing. It was the wind up. You missed all that.
Yeah, I missed the good part. But all right, we got little big Nate in the building. What's going on? What's going on? What you got on this?
God damn it, Bernard. God damn it. You had to do this subject today. I have lost 2 channels talking about these devils, these wicked, satanic, Luciferian leftist devils. People think it's
probably it's probably that exact sentence that makes the difference.
I'm gonna tell you.
That sentence probably makes the difference from how we can do this and everything is fine and it might get a green light, but you do it and you lose a channel. It's probably that exact sentence.
I remember. It had to been years ago at this point, Nate. I remember I gave you a little piece of advice, bro. You got to make it funny. That's one of the ways to get around it. Because humor gives you a broader umbrella than just regular straight-on critique. Satire is a protected speech class in and of itself. So like you kind of have to come at it from a less abrasive angle, right?
Hulk smash. It's just what I
get
do.
you. I get you.
Hulk smash, man. I'm sorry. But a couple of things, right? Number one, homosexuals cannot reproduce themselves. A gay man and a gay woman cannot produce a gay child. It's illogical because there's no sexual attraction between the two. So, how can homosexuals reproduce themselves? How were most of the homosexuals in our country, how did they develop into homosexuals? Whether you're prepared to accept this or not, the way most homosexuals, even though there is some debate on whether homosexuals are born, and I'm not here to debate that, most homosexuals are made through the grape and violation of a child. So if I'm a homosexual advocate, if I'm a homosexual rights supporter, and I want to see the gay community grow and blossom and develop, what will be the easiest way to swell our ranks as homosexuals? The easiest way to do that would be to get access to children so we can grape them. And we will swell our ranks by the millions.
Well,
whether you're prepared to accept and understand that, I don't care. What I am telling you is the truth. You will either accept it, make necessary adjustments so we can address it, or you'll sit there while they put your 7-year-old black boys in transition closets in their 2nd grade classes, which is what is going on today. You think what I do is hyperbole. You think I'm exaggerating. You think I'm making up shit. I have been fighting this battle for over 15 years with people online, with people in my family, with people that I meet in social settings. The conversation gets to politics, the conversation gets to social programming and cultural issues. And I tell you what I know is fact, and they're not able to deal with it because you just can't believe that this could be happening. But I called this shit over 15 years ago. And that's why I've never lost a debate in my life, except the SKC. Shout out to SKC. But I have never lost a debate. I am telling you what they're doing. And now Lori Lightfoot, which is the type of mayor Black Chicagoans deserve with your leftist liberal ideology, you put skin color above everything, no matter how demonic and wicked the goddamn political candidate is. You are going to burn and suffer for this shit, and we see it happening all over this country now.
Nate, let me jump in really quickly. You said something that deserves its own spinoff. It's a question I want to just throw out there. Maybe we come back to it at a later date. Does Black America deserve to fail?
Yes. Yes. Not all of it. That's why
I don't like how you just yelled that out enthusiastically, but okay.
Oh, yes.
You're a little enthusiastic about that, but all right.
I don't want all of Black America to fail. I want to get our best and brightest men away from these people who are determined to destroy themselves and our country. The people I want you to just take a second. Just wrap your mind around mine for a minute, please. Please. Black people went into the streets and burned down over $10 billion worth of property of a group of people, Americans, who had nothing to do with the death of a career criminal, junkie, robber, who spent 5 years in jail for holding a gun to a woman and her child while he was dressed as a city worker, forced his way into the house, and then 4 of his friends ransacked the house while he held a woman and child at gunpoint in 2007. He was convicted of the crime in 2009. He served 5 years, got back out, and went back to being a low-tier porn actor, a druggie, and a junkie, and a criminal.
Real quick.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Related question. I hate to break up your momentum, but if I don't ask this question now, I'm going to forget to ask. Hood Conservative, when he referenced George Floyd being a low-tier porn actor, you go down enough rabbit holes on the internet, so I got to ask you a very inappropriate question. Did you see George Floyd?
I haven't.
Okay, you haven't. Okay.
Hell no, I ain't watching that.
I heard of it.
It just conservatives seem like he's just not above going down that rabbit hole.
I'm not. I'm so not. Like,
for research purposes, of course, but still, it just seems like.
I'm curious. I want to know. Like, I bet you George Floyd only does porno with fat white women. I just, in my mind, like, that's the only porno I would see, and so, like, it wouldn't surprise me. But I would, if I could find it, yeah, I'd pull it up just for, just to check that box. Like, all right, we discovered that.
Okay.
But in closing, about this degenerate that they turned into a martyr,
I'm stepping away. I'm stepping away real quick. Just be careful, Nate. Keep me on the air.
I'll keep it cool. I
All
promise.
right.
I keep it cool. They turned that piece of trash into a martyr and a national treasure. Black people, and a gentleman in the chat said white people did it too. You are absolutely right. That's why Little Big Nate says the white man is not the devil, the white liberal is. Lice-ridden white Antifa were out there burning things down too. You know, the type of Antifa like Joseph Rosenbaum, who our good friend Kyle Rittenhouse put an end to. Kyle Rittenhouse for president. A man who was convicted of raping anally and orally 5 boys under the age of 12, and they were black men in this space caping for him and talking down on Kyle Rittenhouse. You filthy.
Well, you know what? Hold on, really quickly.
Yeah.
Nate, I just got to point out, it's terrible how Kyle Rittenhouse robbed Chicago public schools of a prospective teacher. That guy could have went on to be a teacher. No, seriously,
Oh my
Joseph
God. You
Rosenbaum
are a
had
terrible person.
the credentials. He had the credentials to become one of the greats in the Chicago Public School District, and
Oh
Rittenhouse
my
has
God.
deprived all the Black Chicago students of their greatness because they took out Rosenbaum. I just want to throw that out there. All right, Rittenhouse isn't that perfect guy. All right.
and Minnesota's not too far from Illinois. He could have telecommuted, and then come into town to violate the babies. Absolutely. This is what the left wants. But I heard Black men in this space caping for that satanic, white, pedophilic devil over a 17-year-old white boy who was there in that Minnesota town to protect the property of Americans. Kyle Rittenhouse never said, well, is this a Black person's car? Is this a Black person's business? Because I'm not going to help it. He came to that town armed to protect the property of American citizens. And these filthy niggas hated him and wanted him to be punished. Will Black America fail? Abso-fucking-lutely, but not all of it. I am going to get our best and brightest men and the women who want to be under the leadership of those men out of this mess. That's what I'm going to work to do. That's what the Black Manosphere meetup is about. You'll be hearing all about it in the coming months. But the fact of the matter is, I don't even know where I was earlier, but I don't know how I got him written out. I don't even know. But there's so much to discuss. These leftists, they are determined to destroy our country, and they're going to destroy you. Look what the left has done to Black women. Look what the left has done to the productivity and the masculinity of Black men. We're the only race of men in this country that follow their women. We have the lowest level of job creation of any group of men in this country. Job creation and entrepreneurship takes the courage to make calculated risks. Calculated risks are only made by men who had masculine examples in their life. Unfortunately, many of us don't have that. Black men are we have good jobs, we're in the middle class, not because of the mothers that raised us, but in spite of them. Okay.
Well, let me jump in right there for a second, Nate, because that's something else too. And we've avoided this subject all day, and on purpose on my behalf, because I want to talk about chicks every single time. But this does bring up an interesting point, and it's a conundrum for the Black female collective. In order for them to get the men they say they want, they have to actually give up the power that they have. And it's a deal that they're not willing to make.
Explain that power that they have that they would have to give up.
Their independence, their freedoms to a certain degree, their desire to live separately and apart from a man, they would have to sacrifice that on a collective level in order to get the men they want. And the explanation, the logic behind that is this, right? And Nate kind of was he was touching on that. This is why I wanted to jump in and expound a little bit. All right. Women don't generally create productive men. Men create productive men by and large. And like he said, there are some glaring examples of, some dude from a single mom household who's all right. There's a lot of them, right? But on the whole, they are not the norm. They are essentially abnormal. And so if you want, as women, if you want the type of men you say you want, then you have to, cede some of the power that you have. And like I said, it's a deal they're not willing to make, and that's the essential conundrum right there. It's one of the big conundrums of the Black community in general, but that's a big problem. And it's, it says a lot about women, and they're giving women power and all that stuff. But this is why historically, everywhere you look, everywhere in any society that's ever been worth anything, women have been restricted to some degree or another.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Well, if I could.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Because
real quick.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on what Sh00ting just said, one of the most successful, whether you like them or not, doesn't mean anything. one of the most successful communities in Black America, especially in regards to marriage, relationships, the raising of children, is the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And the women are restricted, heavily restricted. My sister's in the Nation of Islam. She works for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. She literally transcribes all his speeches. She only works for him. I'm not in the nation, but I know a lot about it. I've been to a couple of Savior's Days. I have never seen so many Black women with wedding rings in my life, ever. Okay. And of course, you think what you want to about Yaqub and stuff. That's fine, because I can blow holes in the resurrection and everything else. You know, when it comes to religion, believe whatever you believe. But when my sister joined the nation in the late 90s, she had to go to MGT and GCC class 3 times a week. MGT is Muslim Girls Training. GCC is General Civilization classes, where they learn how to sew, cook. They learn how to care for a hard-charging, hard-working man. They learn how to maintain a household. They learn how to care for their children. They learn the benefits of marriage. And I'm not saying every, yeah, go
Mate,
ahead.
that is what I was talking about with those Chicago kids and that after school program that those kids have been in for like most of their lives. I doubt that you're teaching them to actually be good people who can be married together and go off and be stable with each other. But that's what the NOI teaches, which is one of the reasons why, like you say, I have my issues with the NOI and I laugh at the Yaqub stuff and all, but the NOI is a working, functioning model of success, and I do not dispute that on any level. They actually figured out something that is sustainable into the future.
Since the 1930s. And let's be honest, they're the only quote unquote black organization that's still around, that was around in the 1930s. Everybody else has faltered and gone the way of the dodo bird, including the NAACP, which is a complete joke these days. I mean, a literal joke. So, back to get to the subject, I pray that Black men, what I get up on these panels and talk about on my platform, and we'll be talking about on Rumble once I get my 10 more subscribers. That's all I need is 10 more, and I'll have 100. I'll put it in the chat in a minute, the link to my Rumble channel.
Yep, do that.
Yeah. All I want Black people to realize is how much of an enemy the left has been. This is not a matter of, ooh, I'm a Republican and nana boo boo, I don't like the Democrats. What I've learned over the last 15, 18 years, what I've been taught by people, I know these people are our enemies. I'm sorry. W.D. Griffith, the director of Birth of a Nation, was a white Democrat. He played that movie in the White House while Woodrow Wilson was president, a white Democrat. In 1866, white Democrats created the Ku Klux Klan, which was their enforcement arm, meant to intimidate and kill Black people throughout the South. In the South, there were white Republicans in the state legislatures all across the South and Southwest that worked with Black Republicans to protect Black people's property. Most of your abolitionists were white Republicans. You are going to have to come to terms with the absolute necessity for you to walk away from the left. I am going to make you do that. Niggas can get mad at me.
Make
Niggas
you do
can come
that?
up here and attack me.
You're gonna make it?
I'm going to make everybody who would dare to try to debate me, I'm going to make you admit that, because you cannot defeat me on this. No one can. I'm sorry. You cannot defeat me on what is best for Black people moving forward. And I'm not even talking about all Black people. I'm talking about the Black people that give a shit and are invested in trying to do something in this country. The rest of Black people can do whatever they want. I don't care. But since you want to give your boys over to transition closets, since you want to give your little girls over to skin suit wearing white feminist ghouls who teach them to hate men, since you want to put Taraji P. Henson as the host of the 2022 BET Awards, where the pre-show is Saucy Santana, a trans freak that says you don't get access to my booty until you do your civic duty, and he's talking to black men. And then the opening act in the 2022 BET Awards is what's his name? What's his name? Billy Porter, a man, a homosexual black man who wears dresses.
How does that even happen? Wait a minute, Billy Porter. You know, hey, wait. Billy Porter actually had an R&B like a hit back in the. I don't know about a hit, but he had an R&B song you might have heard on the radio back in the day. I had to look. I don't even know how I came across this shit. This is, searching through Twitter, somebody posted this one day, and I was like, "Holy snap, that was Billy Porter!" But yeah, Billy Porter used to be an R&B singer back in like the 90s. If you go look it up, you can find it pretty easily. And I bet you remember the song. But yeah, how does he get to host the BET Awards now?
Hold on, wait.
No. He didn't host.
Nate said
the opening act, right?
But that's why I got confused because I'm like, what the fuck does he do other than wear dresses and show up and I don't know what he do other than just hit red carpets dressed like a woman. I don't know what he do.
Bernard, he has sex with white men too, which is a huge plus.
I don't know what he does from a performative entertainment aspect. I've never seen him in a movie until Hood Service just mentioned this. I never knew of him doing anything musically. He don't rap, dance, sing, act, do backflips, play basketball. Who the fuck is he, and why is he in front of us entertaining people? Like, what does he do other than just walk on red carpets in women's clothes? I don't know what this person does. That's why when you said Billy Porter was an opening act, I'm like, what does this nigga do? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
BET gave the pre-show to Saucy Santana and the opening act, like 10-15 minutes straight of men in dresses, men twerking, men kissing each other, men gyrating. 15 minutes straight of this shit. And the 2022, according to Taraji P. Henson, the host, she was the host. According to Taraji P. Henson, the 20 nigga, you can Google this.
Okay, Hood Service.
The 20.
Okay, well, time out. I got Hood Service just sent me something that I'm not gonna play. But
I told you know this song.
It's video.
You know
evident.
This song.
No, as of right now, I haven't listened to enough of it. Maybe when the chorus drop. Maybe when the
yes, you will remember it. You gonna remember this from your high school years, bro. I'm telling you, you gonna remember this from high school. That was this nigga. I had no idea.
I gotta check it out.
I'll go. No, I'll play it without the sound. I'll play it without the sound. But see, here's the deal. Here's the deal. He's in this video, and yes, he's looking gay as hell. But it's a woman is the object of his affection in this video. That's the funny part. But it's like he's still looking real gay. So
well, no. See, R&B has been doing that to us for a long time. The music industry in general has been doing that to us for a long time. Like, the music industry is a pioneer in all this genderqueer stuff. If you think about it, that's why you have like what are all those gay rock stars from Britain? Eddie Izzard and Boy George, and like they've been doing this for a long time. But what happened with black R&B, we just get, gay dudes writing a song to another dude, and then they put a woman in the video and change the girl to a boy. They replace all the he.
The 2022 BET Awards, according to Taraji P. Henson, after the pre-show was about Saucy Santana twerking with his 7-inch nails and his unitard and on all these other LGBT black men twerking. And then the opening act, Billy Porter doing his thing with all his LGBT black men on stage too. Taraji P. Henson said the 2022 BET Awards was a, quote, celebration of black men, end quote. There you go. Yeah. There you go. If you can't understand how sinister the plans of the left are, how they have completely co-opted Black America and have us doing the most deranged, unnatural, sick, twisted shit in the name of woke culture, in the name of unity, in the name of all coming together, in the name of celebrating people of color and all this other sick shit. I don't know what to tell you, dog. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to keep fighting. They can keep canceling my channels. They won't cancel shit on Rumble. Make sure you subscribe when I drop the link.
All right. We got Christian Hutchinson in the building. What is going on? You wanted to jump in earlier on the topic, or maybe you want to pick up right where we're at right now. Who knows? But either way it goes, welcome aboard. You have the floor. You have the mic.
Afternoon, everyone. So I'm not going to touch the thing you guys were just talking about. That's
The gay
a little
people.
outside. Yeah,
You're not gonna touch on.
Yeah,
gay people.
yeah, in multiple ways. In multiple ways. So when you guys were talking about when you and SKC were having that back and forth. So when we talk about a lot of this stuff, when we talk about lack of infrastructure because of people not building, when we talk about racism and redlining, and then when we talk about how the black elites have profiteered off of dysfunction, this when you talk about the lack of a functional like upper middle class enclave, this is where it all comes together. Because of what happens is when you lack the things such as like a bank, so this is where it all comes. So let me explain how this works. So when you have a bank, the whole point of a bank is it lends to its local area. So if you just had a credit union or local bank, they could do the lending. Well, where the racism comes into play is that when you had larger banks or the larger society decide that they're going to undervalue or refuse to insure black neighborhoods, right? That's where that comes into play. Because of if you lack the infrastructure to lend and insure, and then the larger group says that even if we do lend and insure, we're going to undervalue it, right? That's why you cannot have this barrier of entry. So, perfect example, Bernard, you came by my house. Uh, the the homes on the street that were selling before they could really hit the market, the people on that street went and found their friends and they bought the homes because they wanted to live next to their buddy. Okay, and that's a way of the property value staying up, and b yourself. In a lot of ways, you are only allowing people that you want to have near you living near you. Okay. And so most likely if you're friends, you guys have shared values. There's probably some level of rapport that if you say you were doing something that maybe I did not appreciate, I could speak with you and we could self-regulate it without
Wait, how is that part of problem? I mean, I don't see that as an issue if people are, people in a neighborhood, a home comes up for sale, and then they kind of like ante up and buy it and then sell it to somebody that they kind of want to sell it to. Is that what you described?
No. So for instance, so obviously let me back up. Just say you have a situation of you do not have local lending available because you lack, you do not have availability of capital because the banks, you do not have a local owned bank. There's no black owned bank, right? And so then what happens is you have redlining or you have things that happen.
Wait. I mean, I'm sorry to keep cutting you off. When you say you don't have local lending available, when it comes to getting a loan, I mean, that's based off of your credit score and your income or debt to income ratio. So I don't know
No,
what
there's
you
more
mean
to
when
it.
you say.
There's
I'm
more
sorry.
to
What's that?
that. There's more to it than that. That's why
Okay.
yeah. So what happens is when you buy a property, you have what you have an appraisal, you have comps. And what will happen is based on what is viewed the perceived value of the neighborhood, you will be the house will get valued at a certain thing. And there's plenty of things, there's plenty of data out there. There's been multiple studies, this has been proven over and over. This cannot be disputed. This is like basically a known fact that basically they have found out that if you have a black family or who makes $80,000, and you say you have a black neighborhood that the median household income is $50,000, you have a white neighborhood that's $50,000. The white neighborhood of the same income level will be valued, just say 25 to 30% more for the property values themselves, even though the income is the same. Okay. So what ends up happening is that creates a gap in equity and wealth and other things that leads to other problems. But this is where it. So basically, the asset is valued higher. So even though
I have a question, if you don't mind, real
Sure.
quick. What about if those white communities that make 50 grand a year are in closer proximity to major shopping centers and things of that nature? Is that being taken into account? Because that's going to increase
I was going to go a
those
different route.
communities'
I was
property value.
no. I was going to go a different route. The question, my question was sort of on the same vein, but we're going a different route. The videos and clips that me and Hood Conservative played earlier, those black neighborhoods where the average income, let's just say it's around that 50,000, but it's more shit going down, like the stuff that we were just playing all those clips and videos on. I think that would make that more of a. Does that affect the lending in those areas?
Well, it will. It will.
I mean,
affect
you rent out properties to people, and I think you said it yourself that you ain't renting out to black single mothers. I mean,
Correct.
if you as a landlord don't want to rent to their ass, then banks lending to people in those areas. I mean, that's where I say that there's some cultural nuances to it that got to get added into the equation, other than just saying racist white people.
Property crimes or even violent crime, does that affect property values directly? No, but it does affect it indirectly because of desirability, right? So because what will happen will be your car insurance might be higher, or some people say, oh, I don't want to live over there because of there's XYZ going over there, so it removes a potential buyer who otherwise would be interested in living there from the pot. So instead of 5 people wanting to buy a home, now there's only 3 people who want to buy the home, right? And so therefore that lowers the potential number of purchasers that would be there. So it's in an indirect manner.
And also, I brought up a couple of months ago the issue of redlining, which people love to use as an example of the wasteism. It's hazardous areas. Remember we talked about that, Bernard? Hazardous areas that these banks don't want to invest in. And hazards have to do with crime, have to do with single motherhood. How do you not take into account as a businessman and an investor if those $50,000 a year households are almost all run by women?
Well, you as an investor, so there's obviously you can't say directly that because of who makes the money that makes it problematic. But what will happen is, again, like I said, there will be things such as with property crime and other things that will lead that, because what will happen is the property crime rates will be higher, which would lead to higher insurance rates, which would make the investment less desirable, because of I can insure property A at $1,000 a year, but then property B will be $3,000 a year, which would effectively potentially make the investment non-viable, right? And that's all based on behavior. I'm not. So first of all, let me make it very clear. I'm trying to say, how does all these things come together to make the situation you have? I'm not trying to say it's right or wrong. That's what I'm trying to talk about. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not trying to say it's right or wrong. I'm trying to say how it all comes together. That when you have a situation of, if you do not have local, so let me back up. The way that, like, first, the Jewish community circumvented redlining was because they had their own banks, even though, for instance, they were able to lend to themselves, and that allowed them to circumvent those issues. In today's market, 95% of the mortgages written are government-backed mortgages. So what happens is, again, if you have equal incomes within racial demographics, if the property is viewed as not as desirable because less people want to live in that area because of quality of life issues, okay, therefore the dollar values of those properties are less. This makes the property less lendable. The way you typically get around that is with private mortgages. However, if you do not own a bank who is capitalized to lend in that fashion, it is moot because of there's a lack of dollars to overcome that. That is what I'm saying.
Explain private mortgage.
A private mortgage is basically a mortgage that a bank will keep on its own personal books, that they do not send out to the security markets to be sold and
as investments.
sold an investment in the secondary market, basically. So, for instance, when I go get portfolio loans of my rental properties, those go under a different guideline than something that would go through Fannie or Freddie or another government-backed mortgage that have a very strict lending guidelines where they say there's certain things that have to happen for this loan to be done. The loan I might get, like a bank underwriter, actually looks at it. They look at my risk portfolio, they look at my cash flow, they look at all sorts of other things regarding the property, and they actually personally keep the loan on their books as an asset to be serviced.
And this is what led to the downturn in the economy in 07, 08.
No, banks have been doing that before the government intervened in the housing market in the late 70s. This is how most banks did mortgages. Was they were on their own personal balance sheets versus being insured by the feds and then dumped off to the securities markets.
But what happened in 07, 08, banks were taking these mortgages and they were so far removed from the bank and the purchaser of the home because they had been sold off in these piles of investments to other banks and other banks and other banks. The bank and the owner of the home are supposed to be working together.
Yes. In theory,
yeah.
Yes. A lender, lender credit. Yes.
Yeah, and what happened in 07, 08, the actual mortgage lending company would sell off, they would package them and sell them off to banks and bigger banks and bigger banks. And now you're completely separated from the people that have your mortgage. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is what that we've been securitizing mortgages in this country since the 70s. So this isn't a new thing. What Nate was describing. What happened was, in that case, they did all sorts of things where mortgages that were otherwise of low lending quality, they used different algorithms and risk mitigation, saying that if you chopped up a certain mortgage in certain ways, that the chance of actual default would be this, and then mortgages that would be grade C became grade A because of risk profiling and you bundling them together. That was a whole other issue that was done there. But in the high level sense, he's 100% correct. But there was a technical way that was done that made that possible.
Gotcha.
All right. Brother Xavier in the building. What's going on? What's on your mind?
Peace, Brother Bernard, everybody else. What's good, Brother Big Nate, my dude? Brother Christian, man, I appreciate you, man, because you be sending me a lot of good stuff, man. You send me a lot of good material, man. For those of you who don't know, Brother Christian sends brothers some very good information in the back channel. So if you're on his email list, consider yourself lucky, Negroes. But to shout out to you, Brother Christian, for that. But you know what I believe, and I'm an old Negro, so maybe what I believe don't count. But I think that folks should, especially folks on the lower socioeconomic scale, they probably should think about leasing with the option. Right now, I know for myself because I did that. The last house I was living in, we were leasing with the option. But see, they got to understand the leasing with the option between the leasing and having the option contract. Those are two different things. Because if you got the contract, you are kind of pent in to buy that house after a certain time. Now, if you're not under the contract, you can still kind of slide out of it. But see, the advantages to leasing with the option is a certain amount of your rent that you pay goes towards sort of like an escrow thing towards the purchase of the house. And I know here where I am, there's a lot of options for that, for people to lease to own with the option. Now, a lot of them offer contracts, so you have to be careful because you'll get boxed in and they'll say you got to buy the house within, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So you got to be careful about that. But if you're leasing with the option, you'll always have some of your rent going towards the purchase of the house. So you can kind of play the long game as opposed to just living in some old house and, you don't know what's going to happen and, that kind of stuff. So I think people should get involved with that because I did it for years. I just never signed a lease with the option contract. So I wasn't it wasn't mandatory for me to buy the house because I never signed a contract. So I would suggest folks do that, especially you Negroes who plan on renting for the rest of your damn life. That's not a good idea. Okay, because see, a lot of y'all, especially your old baby mamas, you got your 29-year-old Negro son living in the basement. Your ass die. You don't even own the house, and guess what? He ain't gonna be able to keep what you left. So you might want to go ahead and try to buy the house because see, if you own the house, even if there's a mortgage on it, he'll have a little bit of a grace period and he won't be standing on the side of the overpass with a sign. Now, that being said, even if your house is fully paid for, now your 45-year-old son who never moved out of your house, he'll have more of a grace period because it'll be about 4 or 5 years before the city come knocking for that tax note that he done let balloon up to $25,000. So when you die, at least you know you done left him his a good for nothing ass somewhere to stay. I was listening to some people a while back, right? And these were some older folks, and they literally said that they were afraid to die. Their damn kid would be homeless.
Yeah,
Now
I know
think
some
about
people
that.
in that situation. I know some
These
people in that
old folks
situation.
are afraid to die because if they die, they know they old good for nothing ass homeless. Man, that's horrible, man. That is horrible. It's horrible. I know where these houses were fully paid, and you know, grandma left it, grandpa, the house is fully paid for. All they got to do is pay the taxes. Guess what? They let the tax note balloon up to $1,000, and now the city come knocking. And the next thing you know, that tax lien is on them. Somebody
And
buys the tax lien for 45 years. It's like, if your people leave you out paid for, you can try to refinance it. Refinance it. I mean, if it's fully paid for, instead of sitting in there for 9 years not paying the damn tax note and let some damn corporate real estate company come in there and buy it for a fraction of what it's worth. I mean, it's nuts, man.
well,
It's just nuts, man.
if I
It's
could
nuts.
chime in,
It's
and
completely
also
nuts.
can we establish just once and for all that today the reason white people have so much more money than black people, the median income for whites, not income, but like their wealth is like 80 grand or something, and black people is like it's like $1,000 or some shit. The majority of the reason for that is not racism today. It's the fact that white people own their homes, they have property, number one. And number two, white people have life insurance and black people don't. So when white people
Mm-hmm.
die, family members get 100 grand, 200 grand, 80 grand. And I'm willing to bet a lot of those white folks, they may waste some of it. They may go buy themselves a brand new Chevy 2500 pickup truck, but they're not in the strip club throwing money at low caliber slob ass strippers and getting platinum toothbrushes. They're not doing that. Okay. So can we stop blaming racism for why there's this chasm between white wealth and black wealth today? Now, shit in the past might have something to do with it, but today it's life insurance and home ownership. That's it. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
That's
think
where a lot of
anyone's
your
going to
wealth can
dispute
be
that.
generated from, man.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to
A
dispute
lot of your
that.
wealth can be generated, man, from yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
People say it's
No
racism,
disputing it.
sir.
No
I'm sorry.
disputing
They
it.
say it's
But
racism.
damn, you mean well, brother Big Nate, you know racism is a cause for all of black people's problems. You know that. You know that, brother Big Nate. If you stump your toe, it's the white man's fault. You know that, man. You
And look,
know
I'm
that.
not the kind of conservative
Come
who,
on.
if a cop shoots a black man that's innocent, I want him to go to jail. You'll never hear me say there's no racism. My issue has always been there are vestiges of racism in some of our institutions that could be a problem, but we still are at a point in this country where, unfortunately, the majority of black men, and I see it and hear it in some of the panels in this space, where black. I was listening to a woman's platform 2 or 3 weeks ago. There were 2 black men on there. One was in his mid to late 20s talking about how scared he was to be pulled over by the cops, which is ridiculous. And then there was another nigga up there talking about he was an academic, he had his glasses on and all. And he was naming all these radical black militant authors and how we are suppressed systematically under racism and blah, blah, blah. This is crippling. It is crippling to us. And you can be offended by conservatives and Republicans and how we think, and y'all a bunch of coons, and you don't care what conservatives don't care if the white man doesn't like us. We don't care. Bernard played a video I brought where I'm sure he was a leftist black man, was trying to kiss a neo-Nazi in his mouth. I can pull up the video now if he wants me to. He took a neo-Nazi arm. He took a neo-Nazi and said, why don't you love me? And he took the neo-Nazi's arm and wrapped it around his waist, trying to make him hug him. This is what you call a black man? And get the fuck out of my face, dog. I don't want nothing to do with niggas that think and act like this.
So what I noticed was I think a lot of times this is what I experienced. I noticed my interaction with the police started being very different. There was 2 big things that happened. I noticed like right when I hit 25, like immediately interactions with the police changed drastically. And then I noticed there was another big shift when I had kids. I would get if I was pulled over, they see I had car seats in the car, they would just act completely differently. There was 2. Those were the 2 biggest shifts. And now, like the area I live in now, I think they just know who I am, and they just don't bother. They just don't bother me. Like, 'cause I got pulled over. Was it like last year? I was speeding, and I was going like 45 and a 25 because it's like one of those areas where it drops down really quickly. And I just bought the car. I didn't have the registration. I forgot my license. I was rushing my kids to school and wasn't paying attention. And I got pulled over, and he was just like, "Where's your stuff?" And I like just didn't have anything on me. And he was like, "Okay." He said, he just told me go to my house, get my stuff, and take it up to the station, and they'll just sign it off. He didn't give me a ticket. He just said, just bring it before the end of the day, and just don't worry about it.
I drive approximately 50,000 miles. I'm an auto damage appraiser, been one for 20 years. Last year was my 20th year. Hopefully I'll be quitting this year, to be honest with you. But 50,000 miles a year, I drive a lot. I was a single dad, so I would be rushing to get to my children's school because my children didn't drive the bus when they were little. I would pick them up from school, bring them home. That's the blessing of being able to work from home. I thank God I was an auto damage appraiser when I fought for custody because I was able to make a case I can care for my children. And 50,000 miles a year, I get pulled over maybe once every 2 years. And in 20 years, 10, 12 pullovers, 1 ticket. 1 ticket. And a few weeks ago, there was a nigga in the chat, and I'm not trying to attack him. I'm not going to say his name. But I live in South Carolina, and I was saying, I don't care if white people in South Carolina are racist. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. And he was saying, well, I got family in South Carolina, and they say the whites down there are racist. And I'm like, you niggas are insane. No other man on earth except the American black man complains about which men like him and which men don't. All other races of men, they just get busy. They get in the marketplace of ideas. They get in the world of entrepreneurship and let the fucking chips fall where they may. Black men are the only ones running around, and soy boy white men running around worrying about who likes them. I said this shit 3-4 years ago when I came to this space. I don't care if white people don't like me. I don't care who doesn't like me. I'm just going to get out here, do what I need to do, and make my money.
All right. We are at the 3-hour mark. Hood Conservative, you there? Mic check on Hood Conservative. You look like you're muted up. Okay. I was going to pass it to him for some potential last words. We're about to wrap this thing on up. But Nick Taylor in the building with a $5 super chat says Chris Dodd and Barney
Yeah, my
Frank
bad. I was
got
there.
Fannie Mae. All right, I got you. Hold on. Nick Taylor in the building says Chris Dodd and Barney Frank got Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac rolling hard and heavy with arms adjustable rate mortgages. Surprise, niggas. All right. Yeah, we about to wrap this bad boy on up. So I thought the hood conservative for the final words here today. What you got anything to wrap this up? Put a final bow on the conversation here. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
No, I think we said a lot today, man. I just, shout out to everybody who came up on the panel, man. And what was that subject we were going to talk about next week? We kind of stumbled into another subject for next week. I was thinking, I want to remember that before we get off the air.
Yeah, it was something we said. If y'all remember in the chat room, I said that got to be the subject next week. What something about what black people something? I forgot what it was. I forgot what if you remember in the chat, let me know. I forgot what it was. We had to remember. It was a good one that we stumbled across and we said, oh, that's a whole topic. But so we got to figure that one out or remember that one. But all right. So thanks everybody.
Yeah, I'll
thanks,
see you guys next week, man. Shout out to y'all.
Thanks, X. Thanks, Nate, Christian, everybody who supported the stream in any way, shape, or form. Whether you like, share, subscribe, super chatted, cash app. Shout out to Robert J. Carmichael, dropped a $20 cash app on it, and Perry dropped a cash app on it as well. Appreciate everybody who supported the stream. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Peace.
Peace.
I like that.